You know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
It's here. It's time. There's always a buzz in the air when you hit this moment.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
We will develop men. We will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
I think of him as this hawk. Before long, he's going to be swooping in on those quarterbacks.
And they embody what the school is about. It's about getting into hard situations and getting ourselves out. It's about working hard. It's about doing amazing things.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
I know people want to talk gambling and sword speed. We'll get to that. But I want to start with Aggie football.
Okay, let's do.
So my question, and I don't think it's the way I phrased it here on the rundown. I don't know if it's fair to what I'm thinking, but I'm going to ask you it. Which player or players have the widest gap between floor and ceiling? So the widest range of outcomes. And when I say floor, for instance, like I'm going to tell you one of my guys already. Okay. One of my guys is Ruben Owens.
Okay.
Ruben Owens doesn't have a low floor.
No.
But what I want from my RB1, maybe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you think he has a higher ceiling than we've seen. And
yeah, absolutely.
So his floor is not bad, but you think he goes from a guy that can rush for 600 or 700 yards to a guy that can
800
double
maybe.
it.
Yeah, or double it would be great. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be sharing time with Jamari Morrow and others. So I don't know how much of the load he's going to take, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think hopefully the best of Ruben Owens is yet to come. And, you know, he's been really good. I want him to be great.
Okay.
Would you put him on your list?
Yeah, I mean, if I just said, like, look, I can't remember what he rushed for last year.
600-ish yards.
So let's say 650. If you ask me, do I think he could rush for 1,300 given sufficient carries? I'd say yes. And, I mean, that's raising the ceiling pretty high.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's doubling his production. Yeah, I don't think that's out of the question.
Who's another one?
I would say, I'm trying to think, who has a low floor? Well, lower floor.
And it doesn't have to be super wide. I know that's how I phrased it, but I'm just saying, like I'm going to give you another one that I think he's going to have a great year. DJ Hicks.
Okay.
We haven't seen the greatness from DJ Hicks.
I keep waiting for DJ he's been good.
Yeah.
I keep waiting for him to become dominant.
Yeah.
But of course, look, last year he was playing behind 2 third-round picks?
Yep.
I mean, so you really can't blame him for not.
No.
Wasn't Onyedem a third-round pick, or am I got that wrong? Regis was.
Tyler Onyedem might have been fourth. I don't have it in front of me.
Regis might have been second. I don't know. But anyway, there were 2 fairly high picks. So, yeah, you can't hold that against him. Yeah, I think he could be. I just see flashes here and there of what he could be as a dominant force. Third round.
Okay.
So I was right. Okay. This may not be popular, but I think Des Ricks.
Des Ricks, okay.
Yeah, I know it's
good.
Yeah, I mean, I keep hearing it, but, again, we'll start with the interception total.
Uh-huh.
Get some of those. I think since he's been here, he's had one. It was really good play against Arkansas. And just, just get some more PBUs.
I got one for you.
Yeah.
I think you'll appreciate this one. Terry Bussey.
Yeah. In fact, that may be number one on the list when you think about it.
Because we've seen flashes of here it comes.
Well, they're showing, I know this is bad radio, but we're showing highlights if you're watching on TV. And there was a perfect example. There's a play, I think it was against South Carolina. It was 4th down play. And he drags across the middle. He catches the ball and he gets the first down, but he stumbles without being hit.
Yeah.
Terry, keep your feet and turn that into a huge play. Terry's still evolving as a receiver.
Yep.
I think he could be a fantastic return guy. We saw the flash of that on the kickoff return against Notre Dame that got called back. But yeah, I just want to. I think that could be number one on the list.
Terry Bussey, okay.
Lowest floor, highest ceiling.
I'm going to give you one that I think is unfair to put on this list because he's been injured, but Ricky Gibson.
I don't know. I've never seen Ricky Gibson play.
But you've read good things about him.
I've read good things. I've never seen him play. So, Noel McHale.
Okay. We know we've seen these flashes from Noel.
Flash, in certain spots. You say, okay, he looks good when he's in there, but, if there's anybody, I keep hearing about his potential, okay. Turn in, for various reasons, A&M needs some, just a badass linebacker.
Yeah.
Become that badass linebacker, Noel McHale.
I got another one for you. And this one I expect really big things from.
Okay.
Houston Thomas.
Yeah, I do too.
We haven't had that much from the tight end group from one guy at least. I think he could be that guy. We'll see if he adjusts to this level.
I do believe that he's the guy, much like Jay Sternberger, that when he catches it, he's going to do things with it.
Yeah.
It's not catch it and the play's over like a lot of the cases with tight ends. I mean, I've seen like Theo last year. I remember against LSU, he caught kind of a short pass and he out-muscled the defensive back to get a first down. I think Houston's the type of guy that can catch it and turn a 10-yard pass into a 20-yard, 30-yard gain.
So you're not going to hit on all these guys, right? I mean, maybe you do.
Maybe, but
maybe you do.
It's unlikely.
But mathematically, like when I say hit big, right? Which one of those guys do you think is most likely to hit big? Because I think DJ Hicks is my
I'm expecting a big season from DJ Hicks.
Yeah,
you've been waiting. It's like blowing up a balloon.
Yep,
that's his potential, and the potential gets getting bigger, and then eventually he just explodes out there.
Yep.
And I think this is the year that he explodes.
Yeah, I think DJ Hicks. My next one would probably be Ruben.
Okay. Oh, again, getting sufficient carries, I think, I say that. Yeah, I think Ruben, in his ability, Ruben himself has the ability to be a 1,000-yard plus rusher. My question is going to be, until I actually see it with my own eyes, is how's this offensive line going to work? Because nobody's going to be rushing for 1,000 yards behind a bad offensive line. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be a bad offensive line. I say, I don't know. People tell me it can be good. I've learned over all these years, it's nice to be reassured, but until I see it with my own eyes, I have to wait.
OB, changing topics now, was yesterday the final nail in the coffin of your beloved NCAA?
Well, I don't know. It depends on how this all goes. If they find a way to get an appeal done before the season.
I've read a lot of things that said it's going to be really hard to get it done before the season.
Yeah, right. I've read that. So if they find a way, if you get to the point, if you're to the point that a guy can gamble on sports on his team, Pete Rose still not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Right? Hall of Fame career, he broke the rules. Everybody knows that rule. And what it does is, maybe it didn't hurt. It didn't play into the game you bet on. But if he plays, that just sets a precedent for everybody moving forward. If this happens and he plays, then of course I've been asking what's the point of the NCAA for years.
Yeah, well, I mean they have zero power, and if you can't enforce your own rules.
The most basic one that every sport has.
Everybody. I mean, it's
maybe that Alabama baseball coach should be able to come back.
Yeah.
His attorneys are finding precedent. Look, Rick Neuheisel, when he was coach at Washington, he was involved in a March Madness pool, and there was a lot of money in it. But he has a lot of money, and they found out, hey, you're involved in the pool, you're fired. It wasn't his sport. It was something that everybody does.
Yeah.
Had it been $10, they probably wouldn't have cared.
But it was more, yeah.
But it was, quote, gambling. I mean, what Sorsby, I've read, done is much more egregious.
Okay.
But the red wagers are finding a way out of it.
I don't blame Texas Tech, by the way.
I do, but go ahead.
I don't blame Texas Tech because I think we were just all selfish beings anyway. And if it was our quarterback, our running back, we would be fighting to keep him.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? I don't think it's right, by the way. I blame the system more than I blame Texas Tech. How about that? I blame the lack of leadership in the NCAA the last 30 years more than I blame Texas Tech.
Well, no, I blame Texas Tech on this because now where I could blame the system is it starts with Bediako. And quite frankly, A&M took advantage of it. A&M's situation was a little bit different in that everybody that mattered, like in the SEC and even I assume NCAA, but said, yeah, he should be playing because of the circumstances around that don't make sense.
The majority here do not feel that way.
The guy only played like, a minute of a game, and that should not kill his entire year of eligibility, right? So, but we can argue if you're going to if you got to the point where the NCAA rules are so flimsy where all anybody has to do is, I don't like the ruling, so I can always find a judge that gets elected by the people to say, hey, here's my constituents want this, so I don't care what the laws are, I don't care what the rules are, I'm going to rule it in their favor because it makes me look good.
Well, did you see what Tyrann Mathieu said yesterday?
Yeah, he said, I still got 2 years of eligibility. Why can't I come back?
I should go find a judge in Louisiana to get me eligible.
And I guarantee he can find one.
Yeah. That's what the NCAA has become. That's what college athletics has become. Yeah,
and yet everybody in college athletics will complain about it. Even Cody Campbell yesterday said, well, there's such chaos in sports. Yeah, and you're creating it.
You're a part of it as well, yeah.
Not even a part of it. You're the
instigator?
Catalyst.
Pure performance energy text line. Hey, so I'm not saying that Texas Tech is not to blame. I just think the lack of leadership has opened this door up.
Well,
and maybe A&M would be different. Maybe Florida would be different. I just think most programs would be fighting for their guy.
Maybe.
And I disagree with it, by the way. And also, I don't see if I can make this, if this can make sense. The Big Ten apparently sent out a memo, hey, do not schedule Texas Tech. And I don't agree with that, but I love it. I love the drama behind it. I like it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's right.
And my question is, because schedules are made years in advance. Mm-hmm. So my question is, how many of them actually have Texas Tech on their schedule? Probably none.
But was it all sports? It might have been all sports.
Again, probably none.
Well, USC was, I think they were about to announce USC Texas Tech, and that looks like that's going to get canceled.
Oh, good. Texas Tech doesn't care because you know what they can say? If I'm Texas, they can say, well, we tried. Plus, look at who Indiana played in their non-conference scheduling last year, and they still won their conference and got into the tournament. So all we got to do is win our conference.
I said it yesterday on the show. Texas Tech should embrace this NWO attitude. And I really think they should. But, and we'll get into it later, they are, and you told me as you were walking out, they're the biggest villain in college sports right now.
They are. I think everybody hates Texas Tech because it's one thing. Look, I'd never have a problem with them that Cody Campbell goes in there and outbids people for players like the sack guy from Stanford last year. That's what college football became. Mm-hmm. And don't hate the player, hate the game in that situation. Yep. He's doing what I want the big money A&M boosters to do. Okay, so I don't have an issue with that. A lot of people around the country, though, don't like it because not everybody has as much money as we have here. So that in itself makes a lot of people nationally not like Texas Tech. And then when you start this, saying everybody in every sport, really at every level, knows you do not gamble on the sport. That's what opens the door to games being fixed, guys throwing games, players eventually getting in trouble.
Yep.
I mean, maybe physically from I don't know if you know this, but it's not a bunch of choir boys that, run big time gambling operations. So there's all these dangers that they say you absolutely can't do it, and everybody knows it. And then not only do you have a player that flaunts that, that rule doesn't apply to me, but then your university stands up and says, oh, no, it's okay.
Don't worry about it.
And I tell you what we'll do. We'll find a judge that'll say it's okay, and we'll make it where I would still be offended by what they're doing, but less offended if the appeal was going to be heard before the season.
Right.
But they've got it kind of set up, right? Or followed at a certain time where, hey, supposedly the appeal can't be even heard till after the year.
Yeah. And maybe we need this. Maybe we need this to finally these presidents to be like, dude, we're leaving the NCAA. We're doing our own thing. We're going to get somebody in charge. Maybe we need this. Maybe this is the catalyst to change.
All right, but what if they do and set their rules? NCAA has rules.
Yeah. Just not enforceable.
Well,
but why are the NCAA rules not enforceable, but the NFL rules are enforceable?
That's a great question.
We'll have a legal expert on the show
Does
later.
the NFL have an antitrust exemption? I don't know.
Can you look that up?
I don't know if the NFL has it. I know baseball does, right?
Well,
so if the NFL has an antitrust exemption, and they also, I guess they also have a players union that agrees to certain things. I would assume the players union has agreed to the no betting and things like that. But the bottom line is, if you don't like, that your guy broke a rule, he gives a thumbs down. I don't know what the thumbs down means.
Tell us, Coughlin.
The NFL does not have a blatant
so that's
exemption from antitrust, unlike Major League Baseball, but it does have a sports broadcasting antitrust.
Okay, so that's not the answer, but I don't know. But again, everybody knows the rule, and when your guy breaks it and you don't hold him accountable, in fact, you do everything you can to make sure he plays, and then you find a local judge. I mean, what are judges doing now? Why aren't judges ever held accountable?
Why are judges judging sports outcomes from a company? Like, we're not talking about domestic abuse. We're talking about things that happen that affect the game.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Texas Tech to lose a game, and a judge comes in and says, I'm going to have to give an injunction on you giving them a loss. Maybe they lose at the end of the year. And
they had mental health issues because of it.
They had mental health. I didn't like this call. And so we're going to have to block that. I'm going to have to give an injunction on that loss. But we won't be able to look at it until after the Big 12 championship game. I know I'm taking it to extremes, but where does it end?
But that was one of the things they said is like, he's got mental health issues because of he can't. Well, you know what?
Mental health issues. That is the buzzword now to get out of jail free card. It's the biggest bunch of crap. Anytime someone does something, they have to be held accountable. Oh, it's not me. I have mental health issues. Okay, well then you sit your crazy ass down and go put him in a padded cell until you can figure out what's wrong with him. But until then, don't gamble. Don't play. You don't play. If you're that freaking crazy, you don't get to play.
I think we both have mental health issues this week that we need to take 2 weeks off of work just to kind of reset ourselves. And it doesn't count against our vacation. You agree?
Oh, I like that.
We can find a judge. I know. I got a good lawyer, Hunter Shurtleff. Maybe he could hook me up with a good judge. We can get that done.
Yeah, there's got to be a judge that
doesn't count.
Hey, we can grease that. Take out a few dollars, grease that judge. Give me a month vacation and a raise.
Yeah, I think both. 19 minutes into the show.
No one's going to doubt I have mental health issues.
No. You just demonstrated it on air. What's the name of the show?
Go out. No. TexAgs Live.
Presented by.
See, I'm too worked up.
Got him.
David Gardner's Jewelers.
In the Rollo what?
Insurance Studio.
And this is the Go Hour presented by the
Warehouse at CC Creations.
If you want to be a part of the conversation, there are multiple ways you can do it. What's one way?
Well, you can call us on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline.
You can text us also on the Catalyst Pure Performance Energy
text line.
Or, by the way, I didn't tell people
what that number is.
No. I mean, 979-693-1150. We're sitting in the place. The
Holistic Planning Cool Zone.
We like making
and I need something to cool me off because I've gotten a little bit hot under the collar talking about the Red Rangers.
Red who?
Wagers.
The Red Wagers. I like that. Nicely played. We go around the room. We go left to right. Behind the glass is Reese Nygren.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Hey, buddy.
Mentioned Cody Campbell making comments about this whole thing. He actually took to Twitter last night after Georgia released their thing about not scheduling Texas Tech. He said, at Grok, how many Georgia football players have been arrested in the past year?
Couple things.
Doesn't matter. It's
different. He needs to be quiet.
Yeah, that's a stupid argument. Yes, a lot of Georgia has had problems with guys driving crazy. You know what? There's no rule that says in college football, there is maybe in law that says, college kids can't drive a certain way or they can't play.
Right.
That is the stupidest argument.
I don't think everybody needs to speak out on the Scoresby situation and release a statement. I don't think Georgia needs to release a statement. I don't think it affects them, and it could in the playoffs. But I don't think everybody needs to release a statement. But if I'm Cody Campbell, I'm just sitting this out. I don't need to go to war when the mob is riled up.
Yeah, that you know what? I guess Texas isn't going to schedule.
This is true.
But conferences should just announce. If the ACC is upset and they say, we're like the Big Ten, we're not going to schedule them. And then the SEC says, we're not going to schedule them. And then, who's left?
Right.
And then you better win your conference because your non-conference schedule is not going to be good enough to get you in. So that's the way it should be.
Quickly, we go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Matthew Coughlin, you already said something on the air. We want you to say one more thing.
Sure. So quickly, Matt Fast earned a promotion to associate head coach of the Aggie men's golf team. He spent the last 5 seasons as the assistant coach, which has resulted in 14 tournament titles.
Golf clap.
Yep, a fast golf clap for Matt Fast. Let's hit a break. Obi, do you remember the genesis, I think you do, of how we got to 1775?
Yes, I do, because
remind us part of that story.
We decided that we were going to look for our next
barbecue
the barbecue place that we were going to
endorse.
We
went places. Right, so Fargo's was our place back in the day. They ended up closing down after a great run.
Had those.
Yeah, they were great, and they were
tips.
So we started going around town. We started sampling all the barbecue, and we came to a consensus that 1775 is the place to go. And what sold you on 1775?
That succulent brisket, those amazing pork ribs, even the jalapeno cheese sauces.
Even
the jalapeno cheese sauces, because it's just different.
Yeah.
But then they just threw down the gauntlet.
I remember that moment.
That gauntlet that is queso, mac and cheese.
I remember that moment. It was like the music, like when we started eating, we're like, okay, this is our place.
It was actually, you know why you remember that moment with that music? Because I did it. I went,
do it again?
Took about it, went,
one more time.
Oh,
it is
1775.
Can you do the phone number with
barbecue.
that voice?
I don't even know the phone number.
979.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I don't know the phone number.
979-492.
I've got it on my phone.
Okay, 979-492-6241.
Yeah. All I have to do is put 1775 and I push the button.
And the website is 1775txbbq.com. It's 1775.
It's good.
Hey guys, David Nuño here to talk about our new partners with EventPipe. They are a leader in hotel booking technology, and now they're giving you a chance to support Aggie student athletes every time that you travel. Thanks to their partnership with United and EventPipe, whether you're heading into a game, a business trip, or family vacation, every room that you book comes with cash back in the pockets of Aggie athletes. That's a wonderful deal. And with EventPipe, you'll get discounted hotel rates up to 20% lower than the major travel sites, while enjoying a fast, easy booking process. They've even created Presto, EventPipe's quick launch booking solution. It lets organizations build branded hotel sites powered by live hotel inventory, making it simple to book the perfect stay. So next time you want to book a trip, do it the smart way with EventPipe and support Texas Aggies NIL through United. Visit their website, tau.eventpipe.com.
And we are back. It is TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. OB, let's, well, first off, I'm not going to be here tomorrow or Thursday.
Okay.
Not taking time off. It's actually going to, I think it might feel like more work. It's a longer work day.
Okay.
I'm going to the new student orientation or conference for the Twins tomorrow.
All right.
And Thursday. Apparently it's a 2-day event.
Yeah, I remember those.
I'm super excited about it, but also I've been told it's very long. But it's an exciting chapter for my boys.
Yes, it is. And you should be there. I remember going over to Baton Rouge to do it. Seems like yesterday.
Yeah. So we're pumped about it. So I won't be here the next couple of days. Bronny will do the show tomorrow. Nick will do the show on Thursday. But now it is time for our Knockout Performer of the Week, brought to you by TKO Equipment. Rent, sell, lease, or rent to buy TKO Equipment, which is your trusted source for used and heavy equipment. You got anybody you want to nominate?
Not from A&M.
Yeah.
Because till the track meet comes, right?
Yeah. I got one from A&M.
Tell me.
A&M recruiting.
Heck yeah. You know what I'm excited about that kicker? You know why I'm excited about the kicker? What's his name? Vander.
Oh, the one they just inked?
Yeah. He's got a kicker's name. I want my kicker to have a European or Hispanic last name. I have more confidence in my kicker when his name's Arroyo or Sanchez or Vander
Medin? I don't know if that's part of the Latino community.
Well, no. I said or European. Like when I was a kid, the Cowboys signed a kicker from Austria, Tony Frisch.
Yeah.
They had Mike Clark, who was an Aggie, by the way. But it was time to move. Tony, the guys from Auburn, the brothers that were kicking in the NFL now, can't think of their name. One of them's named Anders.
The McPherson brothers?
Huh?
McPherson?
No, they're from Florida. No, I was trying. One of them kicks for the Raiders. I can't remember what. Anyway, I want my
Carlson.
kicker.
Carlson?
Anders Carlson. That doesn't sound.
Dylan Carlson.
But I think they actually have background of Denmark or something like that.
Okay.
I have more confidence in my kicker when it sounds like a guy that came out of the womb kicking a soccer ball. That's, to me, that is the usefulness of soccer. It breeds good field goal kickers.
And 91,000 people who came too.
Yeah, because they want to see good field goal kickers.
I want my kickers to listen to good country music.
There you go.
Yeah. Let's throw in De'Aaron Fox.
Okay.
He had a big game yesterday. Spurs made it a series, 2-1. So if you're a San Antonio Spurs fan, shout out to them.
Yeah.
I didn't watch. I just know he had a big game.
I'm going to. I know this is the wrong way to go, but I got to be impressed with this. I'm going to just put the coach. I'm impressed with the Oklahoma coach. I think his name's Skip Johnson. They had to play. They barely got, I think, into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
The baseball playoffs. They had to open up against Georgia Tech, which I think was like
number 2 or 3, right?
And they beat them there, and then they go to North Carolina, which was really high ranked, and beat them. And now they're going to the College World Series. And look, I have no issue that Michael Early is the coach. I like Michael, and I understood the reason to hire him. I thought he did an excellent job. But at the time when we were discussing who should be, possible contenders, I remember saying to somebody, "Hey, I think that Oklahoma coach is pretty good. What about him?" They said, "Well, he's not very exciting." You know what's exciting?
Winning.
Going to the College World Series. Good job.
Who did you share that story with? Maybe not. Let's go to the Angry Elephant.
Somebody who likes baseball.
Richard! No kidding. Coughlin, you got a nominee for us?
Yes, I do have a prediction. This is for the NCAA championship in track that is coming up starting Thursday for the women. Cameron Dixon will be running 4 different races, the 100-meter, 200-meter, 4x100, and 4x400. She's going to kill it Thursday.
She'll kill it. All right, good stuff there. Appreciate you very much, Mr. Coughlin. We'll hit a break.
This break.
When we come back on TexAgs Live, let's talk villains.
Who?
Villains. I like villains.
I know you do.
I don't I don't want to be friends with them, but I'm gonna preview what we're gonna talk about. I think.
Who's your favorite villain?
Joker.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think
why are you so serious?
Say it the way he says it.
Why so serious? I don't know. I didn't see the movie.
He's Texas guy. I believe every great movie needs a great villain.
Okay.
Every great superhero needs a great villain.
Okay.
College football needs great villains.
Okay.
All right? So that's what we're talking about on the other
All
side.
right.
Right now we're talking ground shuttle. Even if you're a villain, they'll give you a ride. Depends what level of villain, by the way. I mean, if you gamble a little bit, they'll probably take you anyway, but they'll give you a reliable shuttle from Bryan College Station to George Bush Intercontinental Airport. You can commute in luxury with shuttles, reclining seats, power outlets, you name it. Enjoy the ride, catch up on work emails, read a book, or just take a nap and enjoy the ride, because we all know going to Bush is no fun. The traffic, the parking is a disaster. You just let them do it for you. They'll get you. They'll pick you up. They'll do it all. They have 9 shuttle times on the weekdays every hour and a half, and 5 shuttle times on the weekends every 2.5 hours. They're excellent for business travelers and commuters. Check out the website to learn all about it, groundshuttle.com. That is groundshuttle.com, or give them a call, 855-303-4415. It's Ground Shuttle. Let them do the driving. This is interesting. Chompin says, I guess it's his birthday. He's all about the B team. He's a big baseball guy. He says certain people, I lost his comment, but basically certain people want certain things for their birthday. He mentions a silk stockings kind of night or a pitching coach. And so we'll see if Bronny has an update on.
A what kind of night?
Silk stockings. He's used another word.
Oh.
Yeah. Or a pitching coach.
I remember when that place was in operation.
I remember the operation, never went by it.
I never went. Well, you know, anytime you were driving to Houston, you drove. Of course, back then when I was here working for the Eagle, it was way out in the woods.
But isn't that what the Harley Davidson place is, right?
Yeah, then I came back. And all of a sudden, it was in the middle of town. I'm like, what happened? What happened, College Station? You grew up on me.
Yeah, it's like in a school zone now. Anyway, villains, OB.
Villains.
All right, let's talk. I want to morph this into college football villains, but
okay, of course.
The best villains make, to me, the best movies. They make the best storylines in movies and in sports. Okay? So when we talk about the best villains in movies, you got the Joker.
Yeah.
Darth Vader.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Who else? Thanos.
I always kind of was partial to the Catwoman.
The Catwoman. She's a great villain because she's likable. I
liked her.
A good villain, sometimes in a movie, there's parts of them you like, even though you completely hate them.
Yeah, you either hate them completely
or you kind of get them.
Yeah.
Right? You understand them. Biff from Back to the Future.
Nah, I hated him.
Yeah, but made him a great villain for a comedy.
I can't think of why. I can't think of any redeeming quality he had.
Good point.
He did like to gamble in Back to the Future.
What about your like the 40-year-old version of you, Hans Gruber?
Hans Gruber. See, the problem with Hans is
misunderstood.
He was obviously a very intelligent guy.
Yeah.
He could have used that intelligence for good, but he chose to use it for evil.
But that's what makes a
villain
great.
And it led to his fall. His fall from about 100 stories.
So now let's talk about first. And do you agree that college football is better with villains? College football is better with Lane Kiffin causing drama. College football was better with Steve Spurrier saying whatever the hell he wanted. You can. I hated how Lane Kiffin treated Bryce Anderson 3 years ago on the field and the way he disrespected A&M, in my opinion. But it also made it must-watch television. We're going to watch Aggie football regardless of who they're playing. But it adds intrigue, drama.
Yeah, I think, to me, the ultimate college football villains in history or in relatively recent history was like the 1990 Miami Hurricanes.
They were villains.
Everybody hated them.
And people still hate them.
Unless you were unless they were your team.
They were partially my team.
But nationally they were hated.
But people loved to watch them.
But yeah, you had to watch them.
You watched the Canes. You wanted to see them either get blown out, which didn't happen, or blow somebody out.
They were like the J.R. Ewing of college football. You hated them, but you had to watch.
Didn't that era of the University of Miami play the Longhorns in a Cotton Bowl and destroyed them?
And got something like 200 or 300 yards in penalties, and they were almost all personal fouls.
Yeah, that was good times. All right, so right now in college football, you think Texas Tech has jumped over Lane Kiffin in the power rankings?
I think Texas Tech right now is the number one villain, and number two is probably Cody Campbell.
Okay. I kind of lumped them together.
But if you want to put them all together, that's fine. Because, again, first of all, like I said earlier, Cody Campbell, I personally don't have a problem with him using his money to build his team and outbid guys. That's the way it's played now. That's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But if you're somewhere else, like the Miami Hurricanes did, if nationally, you're frowned upon.
Yeah.
Oh, look, Texas Tech just out there trying to buy champions, and then when they lose, I heard somebody on the radio, on Sirius Radio, making fun of them for paying that softball pitcher $1 million and not winning the national championship. I'm saying, guys, they've been in the national, they played for the national championship
2 years in a row.
2 years. Maybe they didn't get the perfect result,
Prize.
but they're getting a pretty good return on their, and yet people are making fun of them because you didn't win the national championship. And so in football, so there are already people angry at them. And now you're flaunting not flaunting, you're trying to bypass the most basic and accepted rule in all sports.
Think about what we're saying, though. We're saying that Texas Tech has jumped over Lane Kiffin in the same calendar year that Lane Kiffin left a playoff team that made it to the Final Four in college football to go to LSU. And oh, by the way, they've had some offseason drama between the two schools, and they're going to play each other at some point early in the season.
Lane Kiffin is Lex Luthor.
Yeah, good. I like how you speak my language sometimes.
I've learned that.
Yeah.
Because Lex Luthor is the kind of guy that you could actually find some
quality,
but you don't trust him. You
don't
ever trust him. And that's with Lane Kiffin. You can say, he's kind of amusing.
Yeah.
But he's really using all of his Lane Kiffin uses all of his qualities for evil and not good, which he proved by bailing out on Ole Miss in the playoff and going to LSU, which is also evil.
This might be your best comparison ever in life. I think that I
like a lot of folks at LSU.
I see it so well. I'm going to throw a guy that maybe nationally doesn't have the same appeal.
Okay.
But this is TexAgs Live. So screw the world in a good way. Quality, romance. I'm going to say Schloss. He's still somewhat of a villain in college sports, right? He certainly was 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. But I think nationally, he has to be reminded. He has to be reminded for people to hate him. I think you have to remind people about it. I think you're a Batman guy, right? Oh. I think he has to be. He's the villain on the
periphery. Like Scarecrow.
I was gonna say Egghead.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, he's not one of the main villains. He's not Joker. He's not the Riddler. He's not the Penguin. He's not.
Is he Bane? Do you know who Bane is?
Yeah, I know who Bane is. He could be Bane.
Okay. He's villainish. At least in these parts. And this is our audience. America. All right. Let me give you some more. Deion Sanders? Kind of a villain, kind of loved? I feel like there's been times over the last couple of years he's one of the villains.
Yeah.
He's maybe not right now. They're not very relevant, but
he's kind of like Larry David kind of villain.
I mean, don't do that to Larry David. That's my
guy.
I'm
just saying, but he says things that gets himself in trouble without meaning to. You know what I'm saying? And that Larry David would always make a comment, and the next thing you know, it just gets worse because he keeps talking.
Yeah.
And I think Deion, in his heart, is a good guy and trying to do good things.
How about Greg Sankey?
You know what I was saying about, just don't trust him?
Lex Luthor?
Yeah, just, I see that you're doing some good things, but, I just don't trust you.
Okay, here's one who's, I think, unemployed, or maybe, no, he's back working somewhere. Is he back in Notre Dame? Brian Kelly? I don't know if he's liked.
Oh, no, he's not liked. He's not a likable guy.
But he's not a villain either,
he's
right?
He's like cuddly as a porcupine, but...
he's the dork in class that you just don't want to really talk to.
He's like the coach in Varsity Blues.
Okay.
He's just... People don't like him because he's too gruff and too... And you know what? What he did wrong, among other things, but to me, his biggest... But beside from making that poor young man at Notre Dame go up on the scissor lift, that was a huge mistake. But what he did wrong was when he went to LSU, he tried to not be himself. He tried to be somebody else, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, just stop it!
Stop being fake, bro." Let's hit a break. When we come back, I would like to, because I know the YouTube page is popping with comments. I'm sure TexAgs Premium has got some comments. I'm sure the text line's got some. People are throwing out some good villains, okay? Sports villains / movie villains. Like Cersei. I forgot about Cersei. Great villain.
I never forgot about Cersei.
What do you think about Rainwater?
Rainwater? Well, I think it's it's fine.
From Yellowstone.
Oh.
He kind of was a villain. Kind of became a friend.
I don't remember Rainwater.
Rainwater's the not the chief. That's not fair. He's like the president of.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever he is, the governor.
Yeah, I never had a problem with him.
But he was a bad guy at times.
He's just trying to take care of
his people.
He's trying to get a casino open.
Yeah, he's just like Texas Tech.
I'm all for it.
He's just like Texas Tech.
Yeah.
All right, we'll hit a break. A moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online at CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. In today's fast-paced world, Caldwell Country Chevrolet brings that car buying experience right to your fingertips. You can browse their constantly updated inventory online, where those deals change month to month, and they are amazing. You can find your perfect match. You can calculate your trade-in value and even start the financing straight from your phone. Caldwell Country Chevrolet is deeply invested in our community. So when you shop with them, you're supporting local businesses. Make that short drive and discover the difference why so many of your neighbors are calling Caldwell Country Chevrolet their car place for life. Remember, it's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the good people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. All right, we're talking about Burlebo, the heart of Texas, more than an outdoor lifestyle brand. It's products created with you in mind. Currently, I'm wearing the performance polo, the Texas maroon and gray. If you look into it, you've got the state of Texas in gray, and you also got it in maroon. It's one of their highest, most popular sales that they have there. It is really nice. Comfort and versatility. You can wear it in any situation. Quick drying, fits the size. But Burlebo, they're rooted in tradition, fueled by passion for the outdoors. Designs high-quality apparel that works just as hard as you do. So whether you're hitting a workout, enjoying a day of fishing, or cheering on your favorite college team, their gear is made for the athlete, the outdoorsman, and the everyday adventure. And it's really nice. I wore this one to church the other day. People talked about it. Really, my kids were like, "Hey, Dad, you look pretty good today." From athletic shorts to your favorite go-to tees and performance hoodies, they have everything you want. Check out Burlebo.com and find your new favorite gear. It's Burlebo for the athlete, for the outdoors, and for the family. Final segment of the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Last segment here at the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Mr. Coughlin, we've got some villains that people have recommended, or not recommended, nominated.
Nominated, yeah. So we got everything from movies to TV shows to athletes. So Ramsay Bolton and Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones. Those were some big ones.
Those are good. Those are good.
Joffrey.
Joffrey.
Joffrey, absolutely.
Yeah. I was so glad when that kid got poisoned.
Homelander from The Boys. I'm not sure if
Homelander. That character's awesome.
Don't know that one.
Vontez Burfict from the NFL.
Vontez from Arizona State.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was always trouble followed him.
Yeah. Voldemort.
From
Dan Hurley.
Harry Potter. Is that Harry Potter?
Sauron.
I don't know that one.
Lord of the Rings.
Never saw it.
Yikes. Eric Cartman.
Did I watch Lord of the Rings? I don't know. It just seems like a movie I wouldn't watch.
Ugh, you're missing out big time. That hurts my heart.
I like when I miss out. That just like
what else?
What, a bunch of rings? I don't want to watch. And a Lord? I got mine.
Pennywise is a good one.
Pennywise is that clown, right?
Yeah.
I don't watch that. No.
Seabass, which
Seabass is the guy.
Seabiscuit?
No, Seabass. Seabass is the guy that he's the big redneck that's chasing Lloyd Christmas to beat him up in Dumb and Dumber.
Oh yeah, I'm not a Dumb and Dumber guy. You know, I try to avoid all Jim Carrey movies.
I understand that, but that one's hilarious.
Which one did I like of Jim Carrey? The one in Batman, because he was terrible in that too. I just don't like him. Sorry. The one he played, Andy
Kaufman.
That movie's fantastic.
Man on the Moon?
Yeah, Man on the Moon was great. Okay, go ahead.
Ringo.
From Tombstone?
Yeah, Tombstone.
Oh, I was going to say, he's
Ringo Starr?
one of my favorite Beatles.
There's some nominations for Dan Hurley, Lane Kiffin, Bill
I love
Laimbeer.
Dan Hurley. Does that surprise you?
No.
Yeah. I like Dan Hurley. I like fiery people. And I don't like everything he does, just like Draymond. There's things that Draymond does that I don't like, but I love those kind of players.
Is headbutting a ref off limits?
Depends on the ref.
My problem was that they said, well, actually, they have a really good relationship, really friendly relationship. And then why is he officiating? If you are that good of friends, why is he officiating?
I thought that was ridiculous, by the way. But there's a lot I like about Dan Hurley. There's things I watch. I'm like, dude, relax. But I'm the same guy sometimes, so I get it. Go ahead.
He makes good players.
He makes them?
Well, he produces good players. The German in Saving Private Ryan, I had to ask which one specifically, and the one who killed Wade up in the tower, who then walked by.
Those are good.
That's a good one. Deshaun Watson got a mention. That's more criminal, but.
Well,
by the
criminals
way,
can be villains.
I'd be remiss if we didn't mention, it was reminded on the YouTube page, Western Kentucky transfer first baseman Lane Arroyos commits to Aggie baseball. He went 361, 475, 572, 52 runs scored, 24 doubles, 6 homers, 50 RBI in 54 games. There you go.
Okay.
Newest edition.
I know who's playing first base next year.
All right, that's going to do it for the Go Hour. Thank you, OB. When we come back, TexAgs contributor Connor O'Gara on TexAgs. Welcome back into TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 2 of the program. We're going to have Conor O'Gara on the program on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. He has joined the TexAgs staff as a contributor, writing an SEC column. I know that drops today. Not sure if it's dropped just yet, but let's chit-chat with Conor about that. And, of course, there's 100 other things to talk about, or one big thing. Conor, good morning, buddy. How you been?
Doing well, Nuño. It's great to see you with embracing the beard, which, look, you are a guy that, correct me if I'm wrong here, you could probably grow a legitimate beard in, 3 days is like where you max out at?
You know, it's interesting. This is 3 weeks, and I don't think it's full like yours. I don't think I grow a full beard like you do, and it's not going to last. I don't like hiding my face. So I'm gonna do it for another couple weeks, and then I'm out. I just do this. I go through these cycles. I'll grow it, take it off.
You got to mix it up. You do. And I've struggled with this at times because I've been a full-on beard guy like 10 years now. Like pretty much we got married 2016, and then like ever since then I've just been we're just going to stick with the beard. We're going to trim it, not go crazy with it and get, too crazy about like how often I trim it. But yeah, it's a lifestyle, and you either lean into it or it's just kind of a little change of pace. There's nothing wrong if it's just a little change of pace. And, I accept any and all who are willing to actually delve into the beard world.
All right. Well, let's see, along those lines, let's delve into the gambling world as I look for a bad segue. I'm struggling with the Sorsby situation in multiple ways, and let me just set it up for you. I don't blame Texas Tech. I think they are part of the problem, don't get me wrong. But the reason I don't blame Texas Tech is because I think most programs would be doing what Texas Tech is doing. They spend money on this quarterback. He did it somewhere else. They're going to try to keep their quarterback to play. Now, I think they are culpable in some ways. Most of my blame is, at the last 30 years of the NCAA, a lack of leadership, a lack of governance, and a lack of power. And maybe this is the best thing that can happen to college athletics is what happened with Sorsby. So I just kind of set that up, and I'll let you take it.
This is a joke. I mean, let's call it what it is. This is a joke. Do you know how hard it is to get the college football world to collectively agree, you know what, the NCAA got kind of a raw deal on this. And, we're just talking about the micro issue of it, of having these rules that very much athletes know. And Brendan Sorsby knew he was breaking rules repeatedly when he placed thousands of bets, and still being able to have a county judge who, yes, obviously has the Texas Tech degree step in and say, oh, you know what? I think actually you're only going to be suspended 2 games. Like, this is an absolute joke in every possible way. Now, having said that, we can still go back and point to the issues that led to this. If we had collective bargaining, if we had these contracts that are actually signed, that are actually enforceable through college sports, if athletes were considered to be employees, then this is a different set of circumstances we're talking about. But as it stands, this is now in I think a situation in which everybody is going, well, everything's legal now. If you can do this and bet on your own team, the very thing that defined Pete Rose's legacy in professional sports, and if you could do this in college sports, then anything goes.
I got Conor O'Gara here on TexAgs Live. Conor, as for the Big Ten and their memo that, hey, we're not going to schedule Texas Tech in the future, the way I phrased it in the first hour of the show is like, I love it. I love the pettiness. I don't agree with it. Like, I don't think that's what should be happening, but I love it. I want to watch more drama. It makes it for good off-season chat, and it's just cool to watch. But I don't think that's the way you fix this situation by doing another wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Big Ten in Texas Tech have a whole lot of crossover with their schedules. If you kind of look at that, the way that was going to set up, it's an easy opportunity for them to try and get a victory and try and say, like, we stand for the integrity of the sport. And here's the other thing that is associated with this. And for those that are looking at this going like, hey, what's the big deal? He bet on his own team, blah, blah, blah. The Big Ten right now, everything that they're doing is motivated by media contracts, whether they admit that or not. If you jeopardize the integrity of this sport, and all of a sudden you have people wondering if this is WWE, then all of a sudden that media contract changes. And that's something that the Big Ten could see at the bottom line. And whether they admit that or not, because Tony Petitti is not going to come out and ever say this, but that is definitely part of this. And they don't all of a sudden want to have it, question whether or not their team is playing in legitimate games. I know he only bet on his own team. Okay. We're not talking about a guy that was throwing games, but still, that is the slippery slope that everyone is fearing. And it's why, if you're the Big Ten or maybe even the SEC, we're going to see these conference commissioners and athletic directors come on and say, let's just not mess with that. Let's just not mess with that if that's the type of thing that they're allowing.
How do you think this is going to play out? Do you think there's any way that he is ruled ineligible? Because court cases could take months and the season could be over.
I think he's playing now at this point. And I'm one of those people that in the very beginning of this saying, how is he possibly going to play? Forgetting that we live in a world in which you can get a judge to just say, oh yeah, you know what? Actually, he's fine. And that's probably the part that I dismiss too quickly. But at this point, I'd be stunned if all of a sudden this was reversed and everybody has made their feelings very well known with all of this. And I even had a buddy texting me yesterday, like, what a joke if he still ends up playing, like he should just go to the supplemental draft. It's like, no, that part's over. He already lawyered up. He is the $5 million man at Texas Tech. They did everything in their power and then some to make sure that this cat was going to be able to play and that he wasn't going to miss a single conference game. He's playing football this year, and he's going to have a whole lot of people that are going to be rooting against him.
How do you think the drama affects Texas Tech? They don't have a hard schedule, right? But like sometimes this kind of noise can affect the locker room, can affect the team, especially when they go on the road against some of the tougher opponents in the Big 12.
I think they're a team that is still going to be capable of winning 11 games. And if they have a regular season that makes them playoff worthy, nobody's going to be surprised. I put them in the playoff as having one of those road playoff games. And I think them getting to play for another Big 12 championship is very much in play. If you're under the impression that all of a sudden this is going to cripple Texas Tech, I would say, I don't necessarily think that you can say that. Now, if that does happen, we'll connect the dots and say, wow, this was too big of a distraction for a team that seemingly could sleepwalk to the college football playoff. But I was picking BYU to win the conference before all this happened. And I was saying, I think this is BYU's year. I still think it's BYU's year. I think BYU ends up winning the Big 12. I don't think that Texas Tech, with the pieces that they have to return on the defensive side of the ball, are quite as invincible as they were last year. Now, if you recall, they only had one regular season loss last year, is when Baron Morton was hurt and didn't play in that game against Arizona State. I think they lose one regular season game this year. Kind of a trickier home schedule than what people are giving it credit for, but they're still going to win a ton of football games. And they were going to win a ton of football games whether they had Brendan Sorsby or not.
Talking to Connor O'Gara here on TexAgs Live. Connor, what do you think? Okay, we've had this Sorsby situation. We have playoff expansion. We have all the drama we've been going through this offseason, which every offseason the last 5 years, there's been different layers to it. Are things going to change? Like, do you think like we are moving further away from some kind of real governance, or are we moving closer to it?
I think we're moving closer to it because it just can't get much more wide open than what we're currently at, right? Like, just when we think we've seen a landmark case, I remember thinking, 4 years ago, the Nico Iamaleava case, where in Tennessee basically countersued the NCAA and said, you can't actually enforce these NIL rules because they were all over the place and nobody actually knew what these were. And then Tennessee won. And that was, I thought, the landmark case. And then I thought, okay, we're going to see the Wild Wild West open up, and how crazy can this actually get? And it's now gotten to the point where a guy literally bet on his own team and he was suspended 2 games. I mean, I can't imagine it getting much crazier other than the ultimate doomsday scenario of guy bet against his own team, threw a game, and then a judge rules that he, for mental health reasons, needed to throw these games and get that money. Otherwise, he couldn't stay in college football. I don't know. Like, that's the only thing that we're left with right now at this point after the Sorsby ruling. So I do think we're going to get governance. And my hope and the silver lining in all of this is that it's going to push us in that direction to go, this is insane. We all need to get on the same page with all of this because we all collectively agree that having no governance over a situation like this and having a 2-game suspension for something this egregious is a clear step too far.
Connor, last thing on the Sorsby situation. People are human, right? So even though we know the playoff committee is not going to judge Texas Tech differently because of it, they better be perfect, right? Like, tie's going to go to the runner or no?
I don't think they need to be perfect. Now, court of public opinion is not going to help them. And their losses, if they come, and maybe I shouldn't even say plural, they will be magnified. They really will. But go back to 2023 Michigan. We had this debate about whether or not Michigan and the cheating scandal with Connor Stalions was going to be held against them, and if the selection committee was going to view that as like this asterisk type thing. And it wasn't. It really wasn't. And that was for, blatant, obvious cheating with the NCAA acknowledging that this was going on, and it still wasn't held against them. So and maybe that's a bad example because they did they were perfect. But at the same time, I don't necessarily expect them to all of a sudden make that type of decision. And there's not really a precedent for a situation like this. There's also not really a precedent for the selection committee looking at a team through a drastically different lens because of something that happened in the preseason. The Jordan Travis situation at Florida State, the way that played out with a quarterback injury, that's the most they've ever really taken context into a ranking like that. And they usually, more times than 99% of the time, they're defaulting to wins and losses. And I still expect with Texas Tech, they will default to that more than anything else.
Connor, your article did publish yesterday, and I want to kind of go through it because you did a power ranking of the SEC. And you have A&M at 5, which I think is very fair for what we know about this team. I'm not necessarily asking you if A&M's a playoff team, but does the SEC get 5 teams in the playoffs this year?
I have 4 in. And so here's the weird thing about power rankings. I think A&M is a better team on paper than Alabama. But if we're doing power rankings, strength of schedule is not factored in. It's who would you be if you stepped on a field tomorrow? If A&M and Alabama are playing on a neutral field tomorrow, give me Texas A&M. If you're telling me who has the better path to the college football playoff based on their schedule, I'd say give me Alabama. Mm-hmm. And I think Alabama's got a really difficult 4-game stretch in the middle of the season. But you look at the bookends, the way that it sets up, it's different than what they've dealt with, I think, the last year, really last 2 years. And so I think that benefits a team like Alabama. But, A&M being written off in the preseason by some is a bit ridiculous. We're talking about a team that last year got off to an 11-0 start, is 14th in the country in Bill Connolly's percentage of returning production, returns a quarterback that has acknowledged flaws but still has shown a lot of promise in Marcel Reed, and he doesn't necessarily need to play at a Heisman Trophy level for Texas A&M to get back to the college football playoff. We've talked about this before. If A&M has an all-SEC type season for Marcel Reed, everybody is looking up going, wow, this team is way different than what we were projecting in the preseason. And so I do think that A&M deserves to be part of that conversation. Even if the schedule does get more difficult this year, I fully expect them to be in the hunt. And starting off at number 5 in the preseason SEC power rankings for a team that started off 11-0 last year, I don't think that's crazy at all.
Connor, when I look at A&M, I really think it's going to come down to the end like it always does for most teams, but A&M's had their issues in November through years past. But for November to matter, I think they need to be near perfect the first half of the year, right? And not perfect. They can afford a loss, but that Baton Rouge game early on, I think, is going to be a huge game. And the way Billy has phrased it on the show, getting them early might be a good thing for A&M.
It could be. And look, we know Marcel Reed. He says he doesn't lose to LSU. He doesn't. And trust me, I've talked to my LSU people, my co-host Will Ogburn, diehard LSU fan. He sleeps with one eye open when it's Texas A&M week right now because the fact that Marcel Reed has had the success that he's had in those 2 games, it's the type of performance that makes you think, man, what is this dude capable of? And it's not like all of a sudden LSU's got a different defense coordinator. They still have Blake Baker running that defense, and the success that Marcel Reed has had against them certainly should bode well. And I do think that sets up well for the Aggies. But yeah, everybody's wondering what this LSU team is going to look like this year with such a new roster and obviously the well-documented arrival of Lane Kiffin and that coaching staff. It feels like it's going to make or break things in terms of like playoff expectations. Like that could be the tone setting game really for both teams, and we're going to find out very early on just how worthy these teams are. Of course, LSU having that very well documented return trip to Oxford for Lane Kiffin, that of course is going to let us know about LSU and its playoff aspirations. But I do agree it's going to feel a little bit different having that game earlier in the season. But if I'm an A&M fan, I'm feeling really confident.
Why Georgia 1 and Texas 2?
I think Georgia gets slept on still. even though they're coming off of 2 seasons in which they've won the SEC without vintage Kirby Smart teams, and they were kind of setting up for this year as their year for their defense to really emerge. And I'm not saying they're going to be at 2021 levels of Georgia defense, but they should still be very, very formidable on that side of the ball. And I thought Gunnar Stockton did a lot of things well. Some of the limitations in his game have been acknowledged throughout the offseason. Do they have enough depth at receiver? That's going to determine kind of how high their ceiling is. But I think that a team that has won the conference the way that they have the last 2 years, that returns the production they do, they're 8th in the country in percentage of returning production, I believe. They deserve to start off number 1. Texas at 2 is where it gets murky, because I think that there are a lot of teams you can make the case for at number 2. But this offense that Texas is running this year, even though Arch last year did not live up to these sky-high, impossible-to-reach expectations, it still has so many things working in its favor. And I think the experience in the offensive line bodes well. The incoming transfer portal pieces, I think, suggest that Texas should be able to take another step on the offensive side of the ball. I have a lot more questions on defense with this new Will Muschamp unit than I do on the offensive side of the ball. But even if Arch isn't Heisman Trophy level good, I still think Texas is a team that could put up 40 points a game somewhat easily and win a whole lot of SEC games this year.
Oklahoma at number 4. I think you wrote that this is the best team that Brett Venables has had. Is that why? That great defense and the best roster he's put together?
Yeah. I think John Mateer staying healthy is going to determine whether or not Oklahoma gets back to the college football playoff. I'm not breaking any news by saying that. They need to find more of these non-Mateer running game options. I think that there are still so many valuable pieces on the defensive side of the ball, though, that they can continue to win games 24-21, and it's not going to be a surprise. I mean, Taylor Wine, David Stone is getting all the preseason NFL draft love. I think the Bowen brothers in that secondary, Cortland Guillory, they have dudes on defense. And this defense will feel like one of those Clemson units that Brent Venables led to very, very high levels of success under Dabo Swinney. And I think that Oklahoma, we're doing the same thing that we did with Texas A&M, where because they finished the way that they did, people are like, you know what, they're fading. And in reality, you're not looking at the totality of that roster. And I think there are a lot of people that feel like, man, if Oklahoma can get through the first part of that schedule, which is really, really difficult, with just one loss, all of a sudden we're talking about them being a true contender in the SEC.
Connor, I want to ask you 2 more teams, because I don't know what I think about these 2 teams, and A&M plays them both. I think Missouri is going to be good. I think they're usually really good, right? Good, not great. In South Carolina, I feel like as bad as they were last year, they were very close to being pretty good. So where are you on both of them?
South Carolina is such a wild card, and I don't need to tell A&M fans about the very Jekyll and Hyde nature of the Gamecocks last year. But, you know, it's a 4-win team who, at this time last year, were debating, are they worthy of being in the top 10 to start the year? Because they essentially doubled down on their offense, and definitely not from an offensive coordinator standpoint. They bring in Kendall Briles, someone who's already had success in the SEC at Arkansas, coming over from TCU. That's going to be really interesting to see how he gels with Lenora Sellers, the tempo that they're going to try and run, the offseason additions on the offensive line, I think are going to really determine whether or not they have a bounce back type season. They added more experience on the defensive side of the ball. Shane Beamer is very well aware it's a pivotal year. And if he doesn't achieve those levels that South Carolina fans feel he should, then he'll be out of a job. And it's very clear. But they're a wild card. I think they could be a little bit up and down. And if they're a 7-win team, is that enough improvements for them? I don't know. It depends how those 7 wins come. And then, you know, I think that Mizzou is fascinating because, you know, on one hand, they've had a really nice 3-year stretch. And you look at the offensive names that they brought in, like they brought in Garrett Riley, they brought in Chip Lindsey from Michigan. And this is a team that all of a sudden you're looking up going, wait a minute, that offensive staff, I thought they lost Kirby Moore and I'd have questions about them. And instead, you feel like they actually have a lot of pieces working in their favor. But the defensive side of the ball is a massive question. They lose Damon Wilson to Miami. Zion Young was so underrated on the defensive line. And I think they're going to have a lot of questions there where maybe they're not going to be able to replace the production on that side of the ball. And I think they could have a lower floor. But yeah, two of those teams in the middle of the pack in the SEC that you're kind of scratching your head going, man, I could be off by like 2, 3, or 4 games with their preseason projection.
Connor, great stuff, man. Happy to have you on the team. I know we already said it the last time you were on the show, but now we actually get some work from you, so I appreciate it, brother.
Thanks, man. Keep the beard.
Keep it. All right. Thank you. Appreciate you, Connor. That's our buddy.
Thanks, man.
All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back, open segment on the other side before we get an Arkansas preview. Right now, if you're looking for real peace of mind when it comes to your money, check out Aggie-owned Paragon Financial Advisors. They're an independent fiduciary serving clients all across Texas. No sales pitches, no commissions, just honest financial planning and investment management. And what really sets them apart is the over 9 CFPs, the CFA and the CPA, all on staff. They take their credentials seriously, and they work tirelessly to help you build a future that you can feel good about. Go to paragon-adv.com or give them a call, 979-693-3907, to schedule your free consultation today. It is Paragon Financial Advisors, integrity, expertise, and trust. Paragon Financial Advisors. I wish I had Olin here for it because he loves energy drinks. Catalyst Citrus Spark. This is one of the new flavors out there. Whether you're grinding through workouts, cramming for a test, or closing in on a deal, or getting ready for TexAgs Live, you never know, right? Fast becoming the go-to fuel for Aggies everywhere. Zero sugar, I'm all in for that. Or synthetic sweeteners, no artificial colors or flavors. Catalyst delivers clean, high-performance energy with smooth, crisp taste that is never syrupy, designed for both health and hustle. You want to get going? You use this Catalyst right here. It's about pure energy and pure results. And what sets them apart? Packed with premium nootropics blended to boost focus, clarity, and mental stamina. I need this. I'm in, guys. I'm in. Plus, with plant-based caffeine, vitamin B12, B6, Catalyst supports metabolism and energy production, making it more than a drink. It's your lifestyle training partner. Built for competitors on the field, Catalyst fuels strength, focus, and pure results. Buy now at drinkcatalyst.com. That is drinkcatalyst.com. Train harder, think sharper, pure results. It's Catalyst. As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50, but right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggie Land since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls, reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. All right, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Matthew Coughlin, talk to us, buddy.
Today we have an update on Aggies in pro baseball, starting in the MLB with Bryce Miller, who's been dominant on the bump, posting a 1.33 ERA and a .78 whip across 27 innings. Over his last 2 starts, 11 innings and no runs. Out in AAA with the White Sox, Braden Montgomery has a current 10-game hit streak where he is slashing .368, .500, .592 during that span. And Ryan Prager, in his last 4 appearances working as a multi-inning reliever in A-ball of the Cleveland Guardians, has compiled 9 innings, 1 hit, no runs, and 22 strikeouts.
Good stuff. By the way, we're trying to get Bryce Miller on the show here soon. Looking forward to maybe next week having him on the program. I found this interesting little exchange on the YouTube page. James Ellis, it's crazy. We've only played Georgia once. And then Mike Weezy says, and hosted Messi before Georgia. That's the SEC point.
It's honestly unbelievable.
Right? And Texas has played Georgia twice, right? 3 times?
Twice?
Texas played Georgia twice, right? Or 3 times. Did they play them in the SEC championship game? So they played them 3 times now, right? Back-to-back years in the regular season in their SEC, and obviously the SEC championship game. A&M's played them once. Georgia's never come to Kyle Field.
Still waiting.
It's ridiculous that that's how it's happened. And by the way, I'd like to play them during, not when they were winning a bunch of national championships, because A&M already had a hard enough schedule in the SEC West. Mm-hmm. Now everybody's got a hard schedule. But with Coach Oko, I'm certainly a believer. What else do you have for us, Mr. Coughlin?
Well, we have some announcements today in terms of awards. Nico Partita was named to the Freshman All-American, first time announced by National College Baseball Writers Association. First team, by the way. Another one in terms of MLB, but with baseball. Jim Callis made his ESPN mock draft. Chris Akopian at number 8 to the Athletics, Caden Sorrell at 30 to the Royals, and Gavin Grahovac at 37 to the Rockies.
Okay, 37 to the Rockies. So give me that breakdown again for those 3.
Hakopian 8, Sorrell 30, and Grahovac 37, but those are all technically first rounders because the MLB has the compensatory picks and like the competitive balance picks. So,
okay, good stuff there. Let's do this. John Nabors is going to break down Arkansas for us. He says he doesn't have a link, by the way, Nigel, and if you want to send it to me, I'll get it to him. But we'll talk to John Nabors. And A&M plays Arkansas, feels like every year. Well, because they do play them every year. So we'll chit-chat with him a little bit about that, about what they should be under their new head coach, Silverfield. So we'll get into all that here in a few minutes. Right now, agricultural families understand something that city folks often miss, that life moves in seasons, and each one matters. And at Farm and Ranch Films, which is a partner or a part of Heritage Films, I should say, that's the newest offering. They help you bottle those moments before they're gone. So imagine your grandchildren see not just what your operation looked like, but understanding the principles that your land was built on and passing on those awesome principles for the future generations. Chance McClain and his team don't just do interviews, they create these cinematic legacies. These are like Netflix specials, HBO, you name it. Perfect documentaries for your family business, your family ranch, and of course, just your family in general. Let Chance and his team be an eye in the sky at your next family event and do a documentary about your family and interview all the folks in your family that you want to interview, right? And then they can pass down those stories for the future generations. Visit yourheritagefilm.com and check it out. 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. All right, Arkansas hits the reset button. Ryan Silverfield takes over. And, most people, I think even Conor O'Gara, who we just had on segment a moment ago, has them as the 16th best team in the SEC. I said 16th best team, yes, in the SEC. Let's go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Talk to John Nabors, who breaks it all down inside Arkansas and Locked On Hogs. He always tells us the truth here on the program. Mr. Nabors, how are you, buddy? Oh, I don't hear you.
Appreciate you saying not last.
Hey, buddy. Sorry, I lost you for a second. Yeah, so, last year, I remember you were not high on this team, right? Are you higher on the new version of this team? I know it's a rebuild, so where are you entering the season?
It might be one of the weirdest things because usually when you go 2-10, you fire your coach and you bring in a new head coach, you're expected to, you can't get much worse than 2-10. But I'm just going to be honest. It's hard for me to sit here and look at the schedule and look at the roster, even though I think in a lot of areas it's improved, and say that this Razorback football team is going to be light years better than last year. I don't think they're going to go 2-10. I don't. But, I mean, just find me the wins. It's kind of like every year. It's the Razorback football game of the century, that actually game of every year. Hey, find me the wins. Find me the wins. You don't really know where they're going to be happening. So I think that at least here in Razorback land, and I mean this with all sincerity, the excitement level and energy level for Razorback football is at an all-time low and the lowest point that I've ever seen it in my entire lifetime. And I mean that. And it's unfortunate, but it's just people are tired of waiting. They want to see actual wins. And I think it's just going to be hard to come by this season.
Yeah. So, okay. Are people excited about Silverfield?
They're excited about the idea. They're excited about the newness of it. But just being perfectly frank, because I like Ryan Silverfield. I think he's done a lot of really good things. In fact, as far as not having any games to go out and win, he's done about everything right. And he's going out and he's talking with donors. He's trying to get people excited. He's got energy. I think there's a lot of things to like about him. But the reality is the hiring process was not one that a lot of Razorback fans liked. And when it was announced that he was hired, especially with that whole fiasco about Alex Golish being named the coach, or reported that he was a coach when it wasn't true, it was just such a downer that it's been really tough for people to feel like, oh no, this is why it's going to be better. This is why it's going to happen. Because not only did you not have the coach that really moved the needle for people, you also didn't have the transfer portal haul to where, again, I think they got some really good players, but you didn't have that splash new quarterback coming in. You didn't have that splash new offensive skill position guy coming in. You got an 80% brand new roster. You kept Quincy Rhodes from last year, which is a huge get, but there just hasn't been really anything for people to point to and say, hey, this is why we're going to win this year right now. And the past decade, Razorback football has been so irrelevant compared to the previous decade of that. It's just fans are tired of sitting here and hoping and praying and thinking. They just want to see actual results on the field, and I think they're just exhausted is the way to put it. They're just exhausted of trying to find excitement when that keeps getting a letdown each and every year.
John, how did we get here? Because now it feels like a long time ago, but the 21 season, I think Arkansas goes, 9-4. KJ Jefferson is the truth. It feels like they're going in the right direction. Everybody loves Sam Pittman. You hear him talk about, I want to have a beer with that guy. Love that guy. And it's just been a cascading events of just horror for, like, what has happened?
NIL is what happened. I mean, and it's something that where I'm not going and blaming NIL and saying this is not the way it should be. Nope, I'm not doing that. Problem is that you had Coach Sam Pittman, who I still love Pittman. I mean, I wanted him to succeed at Arkansas, but he was built for pre-NIL head coach. I think if he would have been hired 10 years prior, he would have been a great coach, a really great coach. But he was not built for the NIL era. And when you mix that in with an athletic administration, an athletic director who is very anti-NIL, has said many times they're anti-NIL, they are reactive instead of proactive. They are not doing unique things to try and bring in the funding. And on top of that, is not very good at fundraising in general, does not have a great relationship with some of the major donors in Arkansas. This is what you get. You get a lack of support. You keep waiting and hoping somebody's going to bail you out, whether it's the government or the NCAA of making these new rules that don't exist apparently and doesn't matter. But you kept waiting on that. And if you kept waiting on that and it doesn't happen, you get left behind. And that's essentially what happened with Arkansas. They thought that this would all be, as an athletic administration, no, it's all going to correct itself. It didn't. It never has. And it's going to be a while before it ever does. And you fell behind the 8 ball and you're clawing your way back, but it's too late. And that's why I think a lot of people are just worried about the current state of the Razorback football program. It's because you need money. I know everybody knows that. You need money, but everybody has surpassed you so far. It just feels like you're light years behind everybody of even trying to catch up for most, at least the big dogs in the SEC.
Help me understand this, though, because when I think of Arkansas, I don't think of NIL in football, but I do think of it in basketball. I do think of it in basketball coach contract, right? So help me understand the disconnect, if you will.
Yeah, it's essentially what it's become is each and every sport is on its own little island right now, because basketball, yeah, it's Arkansas's a basketball school in a lot of ways, and John Calipari's the head coach, but let's be honest, John Calipari doesn't work for anybody. John Calipari's John Calipari. John Calipari has a guy named John Tyson that he's best friends with that also has been very helpful, the chicken man himself, and being able to provide a lot of the funding for that specific program. But there's been all these different other sports like baseball right now with Dave Van Horn, or even softball with Courtney Deifel. It's kind of come out of just saying, well, we can't fundraise, so you're going to have to go out and you're going to have to figure it out on your own. And so a lot of these coaches are having to kind of do it on their own, which is not necessarily a bad thing and maybe much needed, but it just seems like everyone's just left to fight on their own. And that's why in basketball, you don't necessarily have a problem as much. It costs a lot of money to run that basketball program, but you have some high powers that do that with basketball, but maybe not so much in football, or maybe not so much in baseball, whatever it is. So you kind of just feel like you have different sports leagues and different sports on their own instead of being one collective group effort that's trying to move forward. And so that's why you see a lot of these other programs, hey, they seem to have success comparatively speaking, but football, because it's the biggest dog and because it's the biggest moneymaker, it needs the most help desperately. But a lot of people aren't as keen to helping it out because they've been tired of giving money and getting burned over the past 10 years where they've been irrelevant for so long.
All right, so I look back to that A&M 2025 game with Arkansas, and even though I never thought A&M was going to lose that game, like, just don't give Taylor Green the ball anymore, please. The offense is going to look different this year. Talk to me about the quarterback situation with KJ Jackson and A.J. Hill.
Boy, you're making me be Johnny Raincloud over here, man, because I watched spring and I went to a few practices. I watched the spring game just based on what I saw. And maybe there was just differences with what we couldn't see as the media. I did not see a good situation. I did not see a quarterback situation where I don't even think on one hand I could count how many passes were completed 20 yards downfield. There was times where these guys, whether it's KJ Jackson or AJ Hill, missed wide open dudes, just basic throws. And I'm not trying to sit here and say they can't improve. I'm not trying to sit here and say maybe they get it figured out. And once fall camp comes around, maybe KJ Jackson or AJ Hill's a gamer, maybe in the game they get better. But the quarterback situation is extremely concerning. And I know that there are pretty much every other position group they've improved at pretty much. But if you take that much of a step back at quarterback, the offense isn't really going to go and be explosive as much as you want. So my approach, or at least my understanding, would be that if Arkansas's offense is going to have success this year, if it's going to try to win games, they are going to be that good old-fashioned control time of possession, get those third and short situations, pick up first downs, not turn the ball over, not have penalties, which I know is big for Silverfield. Like, that's one of the things that he has had success in when he was at Memphis too, is they didn't make a lot of mistakes offensively. I just think, which again, winning football is fun and you want to win, and Arkansas desperately needs to win. And if it works, great. But I don't think we're going to see the type of explosive offense that we saw from like a year ago. You're going to see a much more methodical, kind of helping out the defense a little bit, kind of being a run-first, run-oriented type of team, and then using the pass as a complement. I think that's the type of offense you're going to go for. Will it work out? I guess we're going to have to wait and see. But that's the only way I feel like this quarterback situation is going to be okay, as long as they just don't make mistakes, because I don't see any of these quarterbacks throwing for 3,000 yards and 30 touchdowns this year.
Were you high on Taylor Green a year ago today?
I was. And it's not just because of Taylor Green. And I know people there in Aggie land know a little bit about this guy, but it was because of Bobby Petrino. I know that he's the guy that had a lot of success as the Razorback head coach, and it was still just so surreal seeing him back as the head coach for a little bit last year. I mean, just crazy stuff. But it's like, as long as you had Bobby Petrino, your quarterback play was going to be above average at worst. You knew that it was going to be that. And when you mixed in a freak athlete like Taylor Green, who's 6'6", and we saw him at the NFL Combine, he ran a 4.37. I mean, this guy was insane. And the problem with Taylor Green, though, is as soon as he made that one mistake, it just came crumbling down from there. And I really love him, though. I love the guy. He was a great kid. He loved Arkansas, so you wish him nothing but the best. But that was the main thing about him. And he just felt like because of the athleticism, because of the danger that he provides with his legs, and he also has a deep throw, and the Bobby Petrino angle, you always felt a lot better about it. And then going into this year, it's like you got Tim Cramsey, the new OC that Brian Silverfield brought over from Memphis. You got two quarterbacks that literally have not started much any at all with no experience. It's such a mystery, and I think it's just so hard for people to be like, oh, this is going to be just as good or different, but still fine. It's last year, there was so much of an element of you knew what you were getting with Taylor Green and how he could beat you in various ways. You just don't really have that this upcoming season.
John, who's the best player on the roster?
Quincy Rhodes. I don't even think it's a question. When the new college football video game comes out, I expect him to be the highest rated and not even close. He was a first-team All-SEC caliber player last year coming off the edge. I mean, he had a ton of sacks, and for a while there, I think he ended up maybe being tied or just one less, but he was leading the SEC in sacks, which is hilarious because Arkansas's defense was so atrocious that you don't really understand maybe that there's some of those players out there that was on that Razorback defense. But he is the guy that when Ryan Silverfield got hired, he was the one that they said, hey, we want you back. What's it going to take? And they made it happen because they needed somebody. They needed somebody from the previous year to be able to come in. And he was the best player on the team even last year. Some people were even projecting him as a first-round, second-round pick in the NFL draft. So to get him back was massive. And we all know how an edge rusher can really change, especially a high-quality one, can change the entire defense and the complexity of a game. So to me, getting him back was huge. And to me, he's the best player, and it's not even close right now.
Let's navigate through the schedule. You told me you see a difficult way to get wins. Where are some wins? Because, obviously the non-conference games, I would assume, those are some wins for you. But SEC-wise, where do you see potential wins?
It's kind of weird to approach it this way, but it's almost like I feel like if there are wins, it's going to be more so that the other team isn't as good as what I think they are, more so than Arkansas is just better than what I think they are. Like, for instance, Auburn. Auburn could be better. They could, with Alex Golesh, they could be in a better situation, but you just don't really know for sure. South Carolina and Shane Beamer, he's on the hot seat right now. Are they going to make those massive jumps? You get at a home, time will tell. What's Vanderbilt going to do post Dialgo Pavia? Like, what are they going to do? So to me, there are some potential wins, but there's just none of them I can look at and be like, I know Arkansas right now is better than that team. There's just none of that. And welcome to the SEC, Ryan Silverfield, your first SEC game. You get Georgia at home. So, it's already going to start off rough. But to me, your best chance might be a South Carolina, might be an Auburn, maybe a Vanderbilt, but that's a chance. There's just nothing I can sit there and say because as I've said the stat, and it's really depressing, David, of the past decade, 10 years of Razorback football, 5 of those, half of them have ended with one SEC win or less. Half of them. So it's not like you could just sit here and be like, I know Arkansas is going to win this game because they're just always better. It's just been a real struggle, and it's a struggle with this new 9-game schedule in the SEC to really navigate for any guaranteed wins.
I actually don't know, but is Tulsa supposed to be good? Because I know you have them early on.
They probably are because that's Arkansas's luck because they always play these like non-conference games when they're so really good. But to me, honestly, the second game of the season is the key, is at Utah. If you win that game, I think Arkansas goes 6-6 or better, which is kind of sad, but that'd be an incredible year. If they lose that game, you're looking at 3-9, 4-8. That's the game.
That's the swing game that early?
Yes, because it's just you look at that schedule and because of the uncertainty and going on the road to Utah, I know Kyle Whittingham's no longer there, which is big for Arkansas, but if you establish it where you got a night game in Salt Lake City against Utah and you win that game, suddenly it's like, hey, if you can handle that, there are these other SEC teams that you might be able to take care of. Now, you followed up with Georgia at home, which I mean, whatever the spread ends up being in that game, bet the farm on Georgia. I'm just telling you right now, because Kirby Smart is not happy that Arkansas fired his boy Pittman. So just bet the farm. But, Missouri, you got Vanderbilt, you got South Carolina. Suddenly those games seem a lot more feasible and a lot more winnable. And I think that'll be a difference, especially you get that early confidence to keep it going. But, at the end of the season, though, when you got Texas on the road and then LSU at home to end the year, which, by the way, thank goodness that game is no longer, again, it's A&M. We're glad it's back in Fayetteville and glad it's back at the end of the season. That to me is going to be just so difficult. So you got to have a good start. You got to have a good start because it's going to be tough to have a great finish with that schedule at the end.
John, last thing for you. I mean, I think you just said 6-6 would be possible with the Utah win. What would sell hope to the fans? Is a 5-win season, which sounds ridiculous saying it out loud, does that sell hope? I mean, is 6-6 what can give hey, we're moving in the right direction? Because when you win 2 games, everything's better, right? But I don't know if they'll feel that way.
Yeah, well, this is going to be very cliche to say, but say if you went 5-7, not every 5-7 is created equal. I'll give you an example. 2008, Bobby Petrino's the head coach, and it was his first year. They went 5-7. They started off playing Eastern Illinois, and they won by 2 points. But at the end of the year, they beat LSU and Little Rock on the Miracle on Markham Part 2. That's 5-7. That's a lot different than starting the season 3-0 and then finishing the rest of the way 2-7. It's about, do you start and establish yourself and you work your way through the year and you get better to where at the end of the season, you're like, this is a better football team than what we saw week 1. If you do that, and even if you go 5-7, it's like it shows that there's progress. But if you go 5-7 where you start strong and you just completely crash and burn, it's going to give the similarities of what Brett Bielema did his first year at Arkansas, where he started 3-0 and then lost the last 9 games. Or, a lot of other examples. Or this past year, you start 2-0 and lose 10. You have to be able to have a strong finish. And to me, that's got to be the case. But 4-8 or less, if you go 4-8 or less, fans are hanging on by a string as it is right now. And if that happens, and especially if you're getting embarrassed and you're looking like a completely incompetent team, people are done. I mean, done quick with Razorback football and Ryan Silverfield. That's why this year is so important to show some sort of progress and some sort of achievement and some sort of ascension of being a better football team than what you were as game 1 to game 12.
John, I appreciate you, buddy. Thanks so much for your time. We'll see you here at SEC Media Days real soon.
Can't wait, man. I hear the weather's great in Tampa. It's going to be an awesome time. We'll see you then.
See you then, bud. Appreciate you. John Nabors here on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. We'll hit a break. We'll do a short final segment for the 9 o'clock before we talk to Ross Dellinger. Unless there's breaking news or he's working the phones, I think we should have Ross here shortly. The Association of Former Students wants you to know that if you have any great Aggie stories that you would like to share with the network, you should. Did you travel somewhere and take some amazing pictures with your Aggie ring? Did you have an Aggie-themed wedding? Are you a generational Aggie with rich history of former students in your family? Do you give back to the association and want to share what inspires you to do so? Were you impacted firsthand by the power of the Aggie Network? The association is always on the hunt for good bull stories to feature on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, or YouTube. They need your help sending those stories and pictures. So if you have a story to share, send it to social@aggienetwork.com. That is social@aggienetwork.com for a chance to be featured. It is the Association of Former Students.
Well, these segments are always a lot of fun. We got a minute to talk here on TexAgs Live. We went long with Nabors because Nabors, that guy, I like Nabors a lot, by the way. He's a buddy. He was super high on Arkansas in 21 or 22, whatever it was. But he can also be super low. He kind of reminds me of myself. Not that I am not high and low. I don't know, Niagara, you know me pretty well. Like, during the season, I'm pretty even keel. But during a game, Coughlin, I am all over the place. Like, am I right? Like, I mean, you've never sat next. Well, you have maybe in the back for a game on a weekend that I didn't travel, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think I've been with you for a game, but you are a roller coaster during the games. But
you read my notes because aren't you on my game notes?
Yeah, so I see your notes and it's up, down, up, down, up, down. We're everywhere.
Yeah, so I'm Nabors-like during a game. I am very even keel when I get to Monday. Now, post-game wrap, I don't know, Niagara, if you've ever seen the post-game wrap. I'm a ball of emotions. I'm angry. I'm happy. Usually happy last year, by the way. Like, and if I'm not happy, of course, that's when the trolls come in. They know how to get me going. I think we have Ross Dellinger on the other side. I hope. We'll see you in a bit.
Are we at a point in college athletics like nothing surprises us? Like for a moment, let's take a step back. Even though I fully expected for Sorsby, whenever it wasn't a Lubbock judge, right? Chase in Houston reminded us, this wasn't a Lubbock judge that did this. It was a University of Houston judge. And whatever you think about it, even though I expected it to be one way, I'm not surprised. For instance, I think it was last season, maybe it was the season before, Nigel, remind me, but you remember that there would be a theme, and it happened last year too, a couple times, but remember there'd be a theme in Aggie football where like, this team hasn't done this all season long, and then they played A&M and they did that thing.
Yeah, it felt that way.
Right? Like, last year, the thing that I remember was Texas hadn't run for 100, or a Texas running back hadn't run for over 100 yards all season long in a game, and they did against A&M, right? That's the memory I have. And the year prior, this team hasn't thrown for 400 yards against the team, and then they throw for 400 yards. Auburn doesn't win, they win, right? Like, it's the opposite of what conventional wisdom would tell you. Conventional wisdom would tell you that if you gamble in college sports, or in any sport, right, you will, if A, you get caught, B, you tell the people you did it, you're probably not going to be able to play again. But in this bizarre world of sports that we live in, that's just not the case, right? We live in this bizarre world where, yeah, you know what? He's eligible. And we also get up in arms because how dare they do that to the integrity of the sport? But I'm going to maintain, like, I'm not rooting for Texas Tech at all. Please don't think that my commentary is, and I wish more people would take the moral high ground than don't. But Texas Tech, I don't believe, is doing anything different than any other team would do. Like, you grew up an Astros fan. Astros fans justify the cheating scandal.
Yes, we do.
Right? Well, and by the way, I do it too. I don't think, and I want to make sure everybody understands what I'm saying here. I wish the Astros did not cheat.
Yes.
But I cope with it because I'm a coper, midnight toker. I'm not, actually. I cope with it by saying, yeah, but the Dodgers, I was told, was doing it too. And we know the Yankees were doing it. So we live in this cope world. And I think that's what happens oftentimes, right? Like that we justify things. So I don't think what Texas Tech is doing is necessarily different than what any other school would do, right? I think schools would do that, and I would hope A&M wouldn't do that, right? But I don't know, because I think we all find like, oh, wait, he was speeding, he was doing this. So let's go to the Buffy's Catering and Bartending Hotline and class up the joint. Ross Dellinger, the best in the business, I'm serious, joins us. Yahoo Sports contributes to On 3 as well. Has been on top of every college football story that there is. Ross, good morning, buddy. How you been?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, man. So I'm over here. Look, there's so many different ways we can tackle this Brendan Sorsby situation. What I was just on my soapbox on, and tell me if I'm wrong here, I don't think Texas Tech is to blame per se. They have blame. I just think they're doing what most college football programs would do. You invested $5 million in somebody. You want them to play. You're going to find a way to get them to play. Am I wrong in my thinking here?
It's hard to sort of project what another school or administrators at another school would do in this situation, and all I can do is look back on sort of history, and there's been certainly NCAA punishments handed down for gambling, where the NCAA has deemed players fairly recently, especially in basketball, as ineligible, and we didn't see those players play again. Right. Now, those were different circumstances. It was basketball. They were players that probably weren't the center of their team, a centerpiece of their team like this is. So those are different circumstances. And you're right. They are paying a lot of money for Brennan Sorsby, and he's kind of like the big central piece of a team that they are hoping can win and contend for a national championship. So the situation is certainly different, but this rule of gambling on your own team is different than a lot of these other like eligibility cases in a way. It's sort of like the cardinal rule. Like you can't bet on your own team, not just in the NCAA, right? It's not just an NCAA rule. It's a widespread global rule in many sports associations and entities. So this one feels a little different than a lot of the rest. I'm going to assume, and this is just like a guess, that 2/3 of the college football programs at the power conference level, if they had a player, even if it's a quarterback, that acknowledged that they bet, on their own team at some point in their career, that they wouldn't play that player. So there's certainly plenty of other schools that would do what Texas Tech's doing. I think there are a lot more maybe that wouldn't.
Do you think maybe my thinking behind this is because he didn't do it at Tech, it feels different to Tech?
I think that's right. Yeah, I would say not only that, but because it had been a good amount of years, right? It had been 4 years since he placed a bet on his actual, his own team. He's obviously placed thousands of other bets on professional sports, but I think one of the things that makes it maybe a little easier for Tech to swallow is that he didn't do it. He didn't bet on his own team while at Tech, and he didn't. And it had been so long since he's violated that specific rule. But what we do know is he has gambled since being in Texas on professional sports, which is also illegal. Doesn't come with usually a permanent ban, but it is illegal, and it does come with usually a third or a half of a season suspension.
Ross, one of our YouTubers asked the question. I remember when the headlines were out that they brought up, and I don't know how much you read of the filings, but they brought up A&M basketball player Rashawn Agee, or I don't know if they labeled him by name, but do you know why that was used as an example, or one of the A&M basketball players when they went to court, they brought up A&M in basketball, and Agee's situation was completely different. This is eligibility, a guy who was injured, who played a few seconds of a game, and that's how he got his eligibility back. I just didn't know if you had any insight to that.
No, not really, except I would guess that they were looking to use probably an example of a in-state Texas case for where a player was granted some kind of favorable ruling, I guess. And a lot of people are comparing it to those eligibility cases like the Trinidad Chambliss, the Ole Miss quarterback eligibility case. But again, to me at least, and to plenty of other people, I think in college athletics, this case is not, an eligibility case, right? This is very different than all the other lawsuits we've seen in the past against the NCAA. We've seen a lot of lawsuits against athlete pay, against transfer movement, against the eligibility length. This one is very much different, at least to me.
Ross, am I right? Timeline-wise, there really isn't. People are complaining and they're hoping for, get them back to court quickly. But the way it works is it's usually 9, 12 months later. It's not like, I guess they can accelerate it, but will it get accelerated?
There's not a lot of hope that it will. Usually these appeals process can go 6, 8, 10 months long until, they're sort of resolved. And, the NCAA would be appealing to a appellate court in Texas with 4 judges, all of whom graduated from Texas Tech. So that is an interesting wrinkle to this. But the NCAA could pursue some other avenues. It'll be interesting to see if the association will go down other things, appeal to a different court, appeal or file some kind of other suit outside of the state of Texas. Those are questions we don't know the answers to yet.
Talking to Ross Dellinger here on TexAgs Live. Ross, why do you think so many programs are issuing statements about this that really don't have anything to do with tech? Are they scared about what the future is going to be? It's already been the Wild West, but even more of the Wild West?
Yeah, well, I think, again, I'll mention this is sort of like the cardinal rule, right? And I think everybody in college athletics and in sports in general, in American sports, believes that you just can't bet on your own team. It impacts the integrity of the sport being played on the field. And so I think that's gotten a lot of people sort of outraged. And you're seeing that come out in the form of quotes. You're also seeing that come out in the form of schools saying they're not going to play, Texas Tech any longer, suspending all sort of competition against Texas Tech. It's kind of like the schools are taking matters into their own hands in the absence of national rules and enforcement.
What did you think of Brett Yormark's statements yesterday? He obviously came out saying he wasn't in favor of it, but that also his opinion is not going to change what happens. But what'd you make of his statement?
Well, he's in a kind of an awkward position, right? He's got one member that probably, with Brendan Sorsby, provides his league the best chance to win a national championship and to compete deep into the playoff. But he's got 15 other schools that probably are against Sorsby playing, and so that's sort of a fine line to walk. I would guess that Brett Yormark is going to lay out all the possible scenarios to his board of presidents later this week at a meeting, and his athletic directors later today on Tuesday, on what the possibilities are. If you read the Big 12 bylaws, it does, like most conferences, it has a provision that allows presidents with a supermajority vote to sanction a member school if there's some kind of conduct detrimental to the league or conduct that warrants sanctioning. And it'll be curious if the Big 12 does anything on the conference level, because Sorsby's injunction, of course, is just centered on the NCAA rule, not on the conference bylaws.
Ross, do you think this offseason is actually moving us closer to governance, or just a lot of conversation, a lot of hearings, just to be in the exact same spot?
Moving us closer to like self-governance of the conference breakaway. So yeah. I mean, you saw a lot of comments about that yesterday from many administrators that they believe that is the case, that this sort of is an example of why this long discussed sort of breakaway model, where conferences take national rules and enforce them and create them at the conference level, because it's easier to govern a smaller group of schools, and you could evade antitrust scrutiny with a smaller group in legal challenges. So you perhaps may avoid some of the issues that you run into when you have a 350 plus NCAA Division I. So I think it is moving us closer to that, especially in the SEC, where it's been a pretty big talking point. It was last couple weeks ago at their meetings in Destin.
Take us through your job, because I mean, you've been busy the last few off seasons. Your job never stops. But I feel like this offseason feels different than the last. I mean, obviously we've had playoff expansion talk before. We've had, breakaway talk before. The Sorsby situation adds another element to it. I think Lane Kiffin, from a football and off the field perspective, has added an element to it. How has your kind of gig kind of, I don't want to say transformed this summer, but how busy has it kept you? And which has probably been the most awakening story to you?
Yeah, there's no really summer sort of off season in college sports like there used to be. I tell people all the time that college sports is in the middle of an evolution from amateur to professional and becoming a professional entity or a semi-professional entity. And what comes with that is a lot of unprecedented type decisions and moves and news. And that's what we're seeing, as soon as it's really go back a long way, but you can specifically go back 5 years ago to the NIL era beginning. And once athletes were able to make money in a certain way, then you sort of knew this path was opened. And then once the House case came, which that schools agreeing to actually pay athletes directly, you knew that it was definitely going to change. And money changes people and changes entities and changes businesses, and money is changing. Money that's going to athletes because courts and certainly a lot of people in the public too believe that athletes should have been making something. But that money, that change of direct athlete compensation is just altering the ecosystem in college sports, and it's trapped into this sort of purgatory between amateurism and professionalism, and it's just going to take a long time, but we'll probably get to the professionalism part. Even if we do get a congressional bill, there probably will still be eventual end-of-the-road employment collective bargaining in college sports.
Do you think we'll get that congressional bill?
I think the Senate bill that was introduced last month is probably the best chance that we've seen of any piece of legislation that could get through the Congress. It's still a divisive issue. Right now, the Congressional Black Caucus, which holds large membership in the House of Representatives for sure, and some members in the Senate, is against the bill, or wants the bill paused at least. And so you have that going on. And then you also have the Big Ten and SEC that are not supporting the bill right now because it sort of targets them. Not only does it offer the protection that they've wanted in the antitrust exemption and all that, but it also prevents them from expanding, and it offers them a pathway for FBS conferences to all pool media rights, which the SEC and Big Ten do not want. So there's a lot of people pushing back against this. And anytime you have the two largest stakeholders in an industry opposing a bill that's supposed to regulate that industry, that's an issue.
Last thing for you. I feel this is the only offseason in the last 5 years since the NIL era that we haven't talked conference realignment, conference expansion. Do you think those talks are going to be paused as we figure out what the future just looks like just as a sport?
I don't think I could deal with anything else. So hopefully that does not happen this summer. But I'm maybe eating my words in a few weeks because you never know. There's so much change, though, right now. Yeah. There's so much to deal with in general with all this stuff that we're talking about that it would surprise me if there was big movement on the conference realignment landscape this summer. Can't make you those promises for beyond 2026 because I think we will have some shifting at some point.
Ross, great stuff, man. Thanks for joining us as always.
Yeah, no problem.
Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports, one of the best out there. I always appreciate his time. We'll see him at SEC Media Days here in a month. We'll hit a break. We'll come back. Open segment before we talk to Amanda Christovich from Front Office Sports to get a legal perspective on everything's happening. It's a legal show today. It's like Boston Legal, right? Right now, there's something special about a bank that's been around since 1913. When you've been around that long, guys, you're the real deal. Over 100 years serving Texans, not from some corporate tower far, far away, but right here in this community. That's Guarantee Bank and Trust. That's where you can find Brandon Sears, who's a great Aggie. He leads the team here in Bryan-College Station. They make local decisions with 3 awesome locations right here in the Brazos Valley. And what really sets them apart is when you walk in, somebody actually knows your name, whether you're buying your first home, growing a business, or just trying to get your finances on track. Guaranteed Bank and Trust treats you like a neighbor because they are your neighbor. They're right here in this community. 33 locations across Texas. They've got they have the reach of a big bank, but the heart of a small town bank. They got it all right there. Every decision is locally made by people you trust. Go see Brandon and his team there. Visit the website, gnty.com. That's gnty.com. It is Guaranteed Bank and Trust, a division of Glacier Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. So positively ag 512. You're not that positive of a person. You're actually very negative. I have administrator powers. I'm changing your name to negative 512. You're positive about Aggie athletics. I'll give you that. So he has a problem with my take, and maybe I didn't do a good job of illustrating my take. That we had to do a board. I can't stand his take. Let's just see if, and hopefully they throw Nygren under the bus and Coughlin under the bus too. All right, I just hope. What I'm saying is fans. Okay, let's play this game.
Yeah,
it's not even a game. It's just a. What is fan short for?
Fandom.
Okay, let me ask.
Fan of the team.
What's it short for?
I don't know. Fanatic.
God, hooked on phonics worked for me. All right. When you're a fan, we justify things. I thought I explained this, but you're positively not able to comprehend things, and this is not the first time. I'm kidding about the fake outrage. Astros fans found a way to justify the Astros. Right?
Yes, that is correct.
I did say I hope A&M wouldn't justify. But I've read our message boards. I've read game day threads. We're not that nice. We're actually very mean, many of us. So actually, the vocal minority is very mean, right? That's called being a fan, and that's not A&M. That's everybody. I don't want Brendan Sorsby to play. I wish Texas Tech would say no, not on my watch. But I'm not surprised by it. I don't know if they are to blame. I think, and kind of like what Ross Dellinger said, I would hope that nobody would, if I'm trying to think of it through if you're a fan of that school lens, and you're thinking to yourself, he didn't make these mistakes here. He did it 4 years ago, 5 years ago at another school. Like, why do we got to pay the price for that? That's what I think.
Yep.
That's how they justify it. It doesn't mean I agree with it. I'm positive I don't agree with it. I don't think he should play. I also don't think, I think most coaches in that position, not all coaches, most coaches in that position would try to find a way to get their quarterback to play if that's their best chance at a national championship. If that's such an outrageous take, it's not me saying, like, I've said a lot worse takes, guys. Like, come on. Like, and I don't like that that's how it is. Do fans justify their team? Let me ask you this. Now, I always use Draymond as an example, okay? I'm sure Draymond his ship sailed, right? But during the heyday, do you think Golden State fans probably loved what Draymond was doing?
Absolutely loved them.
Do you think the Lakers were loving Ron Artest being crazy?
Probably.
Okay. Right? Like, there's certain things that I'm not saying it's right. I hope people just think. Don't be an idiot. Think. Like, sometimes we justify things that are... When Jimbo got mad at Saban, did we all not... I mean, I think most, not everybody, but most of us had Jimbo's back on that, right? Little step back. I still had his back because I don't think it was right what Nick Saban did, but I think it was a little bit more fiery than it should have been, right? But do we not all hate Lane Kiffin for cursing out Bryce Anderson? Right? Do you think the LSU Tigers care that he did that when he was at Ole Miss? Or do you like, didn't that happen over there? Who cares? My point, and the fact that I have to explain it means my point wasn't explained, or some people don't know how to listen, and I'm positive about that. Like, we find reasons to justify. I don't know if Tech is to blame. I don't like that they are, by the way, I'm assuming it's not Tech, like, maybe they help pay for his legal case. I don't know. Like, does anybody know that Jeffrey Kessler, who's their lawyer, like, I'm assuming Sorsby did it on his own, right? And Tech's like, yeah, go ahead, quietly, like, yeah, just don't mention us, right? Just do it. Like, I don't want this dude playing because of what it means. But I do think, I don't want to even use the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, boy.
Do you think, even though they were wrong, do you think Cleveland fans wanted Deshaun Watson at first?
No way.
In the beginning?
At first, yes.
I covered it. They did. Now, there are some that didn't. But trust me when I tell you, I covered it. I was on the front lines of that. They were excited about Deshaun Watson. He's misunderstood. he's just rubbed the wrong way. Like, people justified it. Doesn't make it right. I hate Deshaun Watson, right? And all the stuff that has come out. I'm not saying that, but I do think sometimes fans justify based on what's going to help their team win. That's it. Is that outrageous?
Not at all. And if you built your
Do you think
whole
the
offseason on
Eagles
it,
liked Michael Vick when he got there? Yeah, they did. They liked him. Everybody else didn't like him. And then he became likable. Do you think Colorado, not that Deion is at the level of Sorsby, but do you think Colorado fans like Deion, especially that first year?
First year, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. Now they don't know if they like him as much. That's all I'm saying. That's it. Okay, thanks for agreeing, guys.
Thanks,
Point
that's
made.
fair.
I think I made a point.
It was.
I'm a point maker. All right. Well, positively, Ag, we love you. I don't personally because I've never met you, but yes, I get you. I understand what you. No, actually, I don't. Never mind. Disregard. But all good. Have your opinion, buddy. We'll hit a break. We'll come back. We'll talk to a legal expert, and I will not ask her who's to blame. I'll just, be a AI robot and ask questions. Next on TexAgs Live. All right, let's try to understand the legal ramifications of everything happening in college sports, college football, but obviously the Brendan Sorsby situation. We talked to our friend Amanda Christovich, Front Office Sports, who breaks it all down. Amanda, what's up?
How's it going? Never a slow news day, even in the summer, huh?
No, I just had Ross Dellinger on the show, and I basically ended the interview with that, we have some off seasons that have been pretty busy the last 5 years, right? But this is adding another layer with the Sorsby situation, Senate hearings, you name it. You guys are busy.
Oh yeah, it's funny because between the beginning of NIL and actually before NIL, that Supreme Court hearing, then there was NIL, then there was conference realignment, then there were media deals, then there was more conference realignment. Then there was the House settlement, and now we are here with Senate hearings and eligibility lawsuits, and it's kind of a whirlwind. But you know what? There are no days off.
Earlier in the show, I tried to phrase it as even though I did not expect that ruling yesterday, I wasn't surprised by it. What about you?
It didn't shock me, just because literally nothing shocks me in this job anymore. But what did surprise me, I'll tell you, is from a legal perspective, the fact that the judge in this case filed a 3-page ruling that basically said the bare minimum of what he needed to say in order to say that Brendan Sorsby would be eligible, obviously despite the 2-game suspension. But normally with these eligibility hearings and rulings, we get a lengthy, dozens of pages of an explanation from the judge of why they made this decision. And we didn't get any of that. So we have no idea what the legal grounds are for this decision, which I just find completely baffling.
Talking to Amanda Christovich here on TexAgs Live. All right, so help me understand legally what can happen from here, because everything I read is they can try, but he's going to play.
Yeah, look, the NCAA filed their official notice of appeal last night, which was basically as quickly as possible. And they're going to try to appeal this ruling. There is a path to do so in the Texas state court system, but I think, they're going to try to get an expedited ruling, quote unquote. But I really don't think it's likely at all that decision is going to be made before the end of next college football season, let alone the beginning of it. So there is just no mechanism legally by which the NCAA can really force in the next few weeks, for example, an appeal to be decided. And that's only if the higher court decides to take up the appeal, right? They have to request an appeal first before, a panel of judges agrees to take it up, which they might not. So I think that it's safe to say that it's going to be within the hands of the schools and the conferences what they decide to do about this, because I don't think the court is going to move fast enough.
Talking to Amanda Christovich here on TexAgs Live. All right, Amanda, so this sets up a precedent for the future. So there's probably guys everywhere who have made similar mistakes, or in the future, dude, I can bet on my team, because look, worst thing that's going to happen is a 2-game ban, right? This has already been set. Is that are more things going to come out that this has happened, in your opinion, and it's all fine now?
I think that legally, I know for a fact that this doesn't set an official legal precedent across the country, right? I think everyone needs to remember that when, I've heard a lot of panic, and I understand that that's warranted because this is really unprecedented, but this is not a situation where automatically every single player who's ever committed sports betting violations, integrity violations, is going to be able to continue playing. This decision will no doubt be cited in future cases of players who decide they want to try their hand at this in other jurisdictions, but it's not a precedent-setting new ruling. Does that make legally? A judge is not forced anywhere in the country, even in their own jurisdiction, to rule this same way twice. So I think that while it definitely will be cited and it makes it a little bit more likely that other players will try to argue this, it's not going to open the floodgates.
I got some criticism for thinking most programs would do the same thing as Texas Tech doing here, and I'll explain a little bit of my why behind it. What I told Ross Dellinger earlier was it's more because he didn't do it at Tech, and they have a $5 million investment Do you agree with that? Like, I'm not saying it's right. Don't get me wrong. Like, I would not want my team to do it, but I understand that my team has done, not A&M, I'm just saying whatever team, has done things too.
Yeah, I'm in your camp. I agree with you. I think that, Texas Tech board chair Cody Campbell got a lot of flack for the statement that he sent to me and Ross and several others, where he basically said, look, this is the situation in college sports. It is known across the country that if you can find a judge that's amenable to your position, especially with regards to eligibility, that is, an upper hand that your school is going to want. That's a competitive advantage that you would be naive and frankly, behind the curve if you didn't take up that opportunity. That's kind of what he was saying. And I kind of agree with it. Again, I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying maybe there's a universe where Texas Tech took a moral and ethical stand and they said, you know what, we're not going to support Brendan in this. But ultimately, every single school in the country is going to utilize an opportunity to get a judge to overturn an unfavorable eligibility decision 100% across the board. Obviously, this is more controversial because it's sports betting. It's not just like a medical red shirt waiver situation, but I'm with you. Like, I don't think it's up to the schools to do the right thing. That's not what the marketplace is right now. The marketplace is to get a competitive advantage, and it always has been. And so to say that Texas Tech had a moral obligation that was higher than their fiscal obligation and the winning obligation, I just think that's naive.
I'm almost thinking of Dabo Sweeney in this scenario, and follow me here for a moment. Dabo has been very not that he's made these kind of mistakes. That's not what I mean. But he's been very slow to evolving with NIL and other and transfer portal because he just doesn't think it's right. Well, his program hasn't been as successful as they were pre-NIL, pre-transfer portal window. And I think that's the slippery slope that we're in. Like, you want your program to do everything possible to win. You want them to do it the right way. But if you do it the Dabo way, you may not be employed a couple years from now.
Correct. Again, agree with you 100%. I think that, look, ultimately Texas Tech didn't do anything illegal. They used, the United States of America has state and federal court systems, right? That is what Brendan Sorsby used, and he was successful. And in another jurisdiction, in another timeline, in another universe, he may not have been successful, and this all would have gone away. But again, it is just so naive to say that any school is going to take the moral high ground here versus taking the competitive advantage. I cannot think of one. I cannot think of one school that has done that from this standpoint. So, like, I went to Georgetown, and the great John Thompson, men's basketball coach, I remember before he died, he penned an op-ed in the New York Times. It was part of his book. And he basically said, our school wasn't paying players under the table. We never did the bag money. As a result, we weren't winning.
Wow. Talking to Amanda Christovich here on TexAgs Live. Amanda, I'm going to ask you a question that's going to reveal to you that I'm not as smart as you, and to many others, they already knew that. Why don't we hear court cases like this in professional sports?
In professional sports, we have collective bargaining. Athletes in all the pro leagues have unions. Those unions negotiate collective bargaining agreements with representatives of the owners of the teams, right? The leagues. Those collective bargaining agreements adjudicate everything from salary cap, luxury tax, the use of third-party endorsement deals, to be not used as pay for play, free agency, eligibility, everything that we are having trouble with in college sports right now. That's negotiated through collective bargaining in the pros. That is the legal mechanism in this country by which you as a league can exert rules and control over your players. The schools, by and large, some of them are changing their minds here. The schools, the conferences, the NCAA have been lobbying in Congress for years to make sure that that never happens. Okay? So one could argue and this might be a question for a lawyer, right? Like this was a contract dispute. This was an argument. Brendan Sorosby basically said it's not that the NCAA shouldn't have rules around this. It's that the NCAA was not equally enforcing their rules. It was a contract dispute. So maybe there's a universe in which a pro player could try to emulate this. But there is collective bargaining and there is third-party arbitration that is set up in the pros. And that is what that is the rules enforcement. And that's what we don't have in college sports. And that's what we do have in the pros, which is why we're not seeing these problems.
So do you think this moves the needle at all to get us closer to that?
I'm not sure. I think right now I'm seeing some advocacy specifically, and if you wouldn't mind going with me for a second, Charlie Baker released a statement yesterday where he endorsed the Protect College Sports Act, which is the Senate bill that we've all been talking about, right? A week ago, the NCAA sent out a letter to their membership where they expressed mixed feelings about the Protect College Sports Act. But now Charlie Baker is saying this is why we need this bill to be passed now more than ever. So I don't know that we're going to get closer to collective bargaining with this decision, but I do think we are going to see folks using this as a political lobbying, tool to say, look how crazy things are in college sports. We need Congress to pass a law to prevent this. Whether or not the law would actually prevent it is another story, but that's what I'm starting to see.
So do you think that we're going to get something in the next 3-5 years? I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with this, and I know the Big Ten and the SEC are not all in, and if your two big guns aren't in, it's probably not going to get done. Maybe there's a way they can write the language to get them on board, although sometimes I wonder, do they really want these rules, or they say they want these rules?
Yeah, I mean, that's the $1 million question. When I was at SEC spring meetings, that was a huge question in Destin, was, folks asking, at the SEC, we're all up in arms about the fact that, the College Sports Commission isn't adjudicating NIL in a way that is, they're not scaring people enough to follow the rules, right? But it's like, do we even want rules? I think that in the next 3 to 5 years, it's reasonable to think that we will get some sort of rules mechanism. I think that if we don't get a bill passed in Congress by the midterms, I can't see anything getting done in Congress during this term with President Trump, just the way the broader political world works, especially with the way the midterms are leaning with, Democrats winning more seats in Congress. So I think that we'd have to look towards the collective bargaining option, but the NLRB is pro-employer rather than pro-employee these days, which means that it's unlikely for them to say players are employees, yay, collective bargaining. So it's unclear exactly what mechanism. I think that, it would be really unbelievable if we didn't have anything. But I do think that in order for either solution, there needs to be an understanding that compromise is essential. The Big Ten and the SEC have come out against the bill that is most likely to pass. Just think about that for a second. The bill that is most likely to pass, the Big Ten and the SEC have come out against. They are trying to stop it. I understand why. I'm not going to speak to the merits or demerits of that, but the fact that they are unwilling to compromise and get some stability and some protections is really just unbelievable to me, given how much they have been screaming and crying in Congress for the past 6 years for help.
Amanda, great stuff as always. Hope to see you at SEC Media Day. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me as always. I appreciate it.
Amanda Christovich here, Front Office Sports. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with a short final segment of the program. Wrap it all up. It's TexAgs Live.
What's up, everybody? I'm here to tell you about Fratella Italian Cafe. If anyone knows anything about Italian food, it's me, Billy Lucci. And Fratella has the best Italian food in BCS. Located at 3901 South Texas Avenue, Fratella is known for their handmade pasta dishes and feature lasagna, beef cannelloni, chicken parmesan, chicken fettuccine alfredo, a couple of my favorites, just a big old bowl of plain old spaghetti and some manicotti. Really recommend the manicotti. That's my go-to. And don't walk out of there without trying the fresh, piping hot breadsticks and the homemade in-house cheesecake, which is incredible. It's great for dining in, catering, gift cards, and even shipping, which they do nationwide. Fratella's is Aggie-owned and operated, and it's an official restaurant partner of Texas A&M Athletics. I'll see you there.
Man, people got some opinions on this whole thing. It's not a sword I'm going to die on. I'm not saying that Texas Tech doesn't deserve any blame. I'm just saying I think the NCAA is to blame for not having power. That's it. Like, that's the big blame. If you want to take the moral high ground, my program would never do that thing. My program has never taken a criminal, has never paid a player behind the scenes. I hope Coach Elko wouldn't take a player that did that, but I don't know. Again, unless you're wearing those shoes, I don't know why it's the shoes. I hope my program is better than that. I just have seen you guys on message boards and Twitter long enough to know that we're not. Like, that's all I'm saying. But it's not a hill that I'm willing to die on. Look, Texas Tech has to catch some strays that I probably miscategorized because, they didn't take the moral high ground. They didn't, and you're right, they didn't. And that's why they deserve some of it. I'm not justifying by saying I just think most other programs would too. And if that's that, hot sports of a take, my bad. It's just an opinion. Like, I heard it, I said it, moved on. Like, it's not like I went in, got with my legal team and said, let's construct this argument. I think most teams would do it. That's it.
Yep.
And there's the end of the show with a minute left. Thank you for your input, Coughlin.
No, that's right. I mean, like, you hit it on the button.
No, I mean, look, but I understand, like, we're Aggies. We should hold ourselves to higher, values, right? Like, and I would like, what I would like? I'd like everybody to come to Texas A&M because they love Texas A&M. They want to be a part of the 12th man. They stay here for all 4 years. They all get degrees. They all go to class, right? That's what I want.
Yeah, it's just not the reality.
I want my kids to never sneak out, to only study and eat protein, macronutrients perfect, and like go to church. Like, that's what I want. And I get a lot of what I want. I want Texas Tech to not win. That's what I want. Now, there's a lot of blame to go all around. But I think, for me, it just starts with the NCAA's lack of power. Anyway, that's going to do it. Don't worry, positively guy. I won't be on the show tomorrow, so you can listen. It's TexAgs Live.